Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new to my channel, please check out the important video links that are located in the description box, as well as in the comment section. In those locations, I have video links that not only link to videos telling how I became a targeted individual in 2020, but I also have video links that lead to videos that share pertinent information for targeted individuals. The information shared on those videos discuss the technology utilized on targets, tactics utilized on targets, and even information from doctors who are familiar with the program. There is even a link to a video where a doctor talks about some of the effects that this technology can have on the body and its capabilities. I also included a link to one of my videos titled Evidence of Mind Control Technology, where in that video I provide different sources where you can hear more information about the technology utilized on targets and the capabilities of the technology. In that same video I just referenced, I even go as far as to share a clip with you from a fellow Targets page where he was sharing a clip from a popular YouTube channel that was displaying the capabilities of the technology. Some very scary, gnarly, high science stuff, y'all. We're in some scary times. Anyways, guys, I know it sounds like doomsday every time I start talking about the technology, but I mean, this literally, I'm trying not to say too much because I don't want to get in problems. Every time I make these videos, it's almost kind of like, it's not almost kind of like, it is gaslighting because I make the videos in defense of me. I'm my biggest advocate at the moment, and that's how you are when you're a target. When you're targeted, you are isolated. It's you against the world, literally. And there may be some people that see. Yeah, when I said it's gaslighting, I just meant to say the backlash that I get. I didn't finish what I was saying. When I make these videos and I get backlash, it's gaslighting because I'm making them in defense of me and what's being done, the covert harassment or the things being insinuated via the AI shadow networking software where they're constantly sending subliminal messages to paint these false narratives. Within what you say, but understand they are threatened and intimidated. I'm going to rewind that part, guys. I'm not going to do this, be pausing every minute. I am going to do commentary over this, but not every minute. But let me rewind it back to where it was. Too much because I don't want to get in problems. Every time I make these videos, it's almost kind of like, it's not almost kind of like, it is gaslighting because I make the videos in defense of me. I'm my biggest advocate at the moment, and that's how you are when you're a target. When you're targeted, you are isolated. It's you against the world, literally. And there may be some people that see truth in what you say, but understand they are threatened and intimidated, so they will not come forth and support you. They might do little things like you might bump into them somewhere and they give you some encouraging words or something like that, where you realize, okay, not everyone is against me, but it's not like they're going to come forth and really support you like that because then they will also too be targeted. So it's a very comprehensive program. Understand that. They paint false narratives about you. It becomes this big smear campaign when you get targeted. Eric Snowden talks about this. Eric Snowden was somebody that worked for the Patriot Act. He was one of those people in those little back offices that worked for the government. And I don't want to say too much again, y'all, because I learned all of this through research. I told y'all last year was nothing but research for me. I found out I was a target November of 2022, right? I don't want to go off on a tangent. If you listen to my story, you'll be familiar with what I'm about to say. As a matter of fact, don't listen to this video or any of my recent videos until you listen to my story. I'm going to go into more details about the links in the description box in the comment section where I tell my story. I'll go into details about that just now, like I always do. But anyways, so basically, I learned all this info last year, y'all. I've been targeted since 2020. I sent a text message that was taken way out of context, and more than just taken out of context, the punishment doesn't fit the crime. It never did. It's just an extreme. I don't want to say too much because I'm almost about to say abuse of power, but I don't want to get in problems. You know what I mean? But it's like it's really like extreme what's been done to me, right? For sending a text message, y'all. It's crazy, right? But anyway, the level of injustice. But let me continue. So, I was targeted in 2020 after sending a text message. Was targeted for 2 years for an island. I was a teacher. I also did security at night. After not knowing I was a target, but realizing that the text message had caused some sort of rift here on island between the people and I, because it seemed like the people in my close circle lambasted the text message pretty much, and some weird heinous stuff started happening to me. I realized in 2021, when I had my apartment, that I was being watched on camera, and that's when I was like, nah, this thing is going way too far. And then, the stalking on the roads and people following me and all the crazy shit that started happening, it led to me resigning from the two jobs that I had. And I said, let me just relocate. I thought I could just leave. I did not know this was a program. I had no idea that there was this covert vigilante type of illegal operation that they ran on certain individuals. I never heard about it in my life. You have to understand, I'm on this small island, right? A lot of crazy shit has happened on this island. I've said this in prior videos. I grew up on this island, so I'm familiar with some things. I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to get myself in any more problems. In high school, my sister and I were on the go out scene a lot. We dated a lot of dudes. A lot of shit been happening on this island, and I've never heard about anybody being targeted. So you have to understand where I'm freaked out that I'm getting this type of treatment for sending a text with all the crazy shit that has gone down on this island. It baffles me. I keep saying that it baffles the fuck out of me, y'all. But anyways, hold on a minute.
Please excuse the language, y'all. I was frustrated when I made this video.
That's what's happening, right? Um, I basically sent the text and I got targeted, and I had never heard about this thing before. So
I made this video the other night at work, y'all, and I told y'all I'm usually tired when I'm at work and, trying to sit up and watch shows just to keep myself occupied. It's security, so you're sitting there for hours, pretty much doing nothing. You're just the eyes on the premises, just making sure everything's secure. And so I'm sitting there trying to watch shows, and constantly they're sending me, what they do, the subliminal messages. I've talked about this in prior videos now, y'all, with the AI shadow networking software, constantly sending me these false narratives. And then, irritatingly enough, the gang stalkers will start revving by in the background. So it's just that constant reminder that you're being watched, that constant feeling of unease and angst. And it irritates me, especially when the accusations get more heinous. And so this night in question, it was one of those really irritating accusations that they are subliminal, they sent it subliminally. But these false narratives, that I told you they like to spin and throw at me with their software. And so that's what led to me making this video, and I was in an irritated mood. So you're going to hear, like, for the first 30 minutes of the video, it's going to sound more like a vent rather than me just, showing y'all an example of shadow networking. But towards the latter part of the video, you're going to hear me calm down. I'm going to get it together, and I'm going to start showing y'all another example of how they use their shadow networking AI software on me.
I didn't even know it existed. I didn't even know I was at risk, right? Or trust me, I would have been moving cautious my whole life if I knew sending a simple text could do this to you. You don't even have to commit a crime. Just send a text message or piss off the wrong person, and this type of thing could happen. I'm telling you, had I known, I would have been moving very para, and para is just island terminology, y'all, paranoid. I would have been moving very cautiously had I known that. But anyways, I didn't. So I sent the text, and this happened to me. So I tried to leave. I just thought it was something that was taken out of context. I thought that the people in my close circle, I'm just being real with you, I've said this in several videos, I just thought they were being spiteful because I sent a text message and it seemed like insinuating an accusation. I didn't accuse them. I keep reiterating this in all of my videos. I did not accuse them. If you listen to my video, the story, about the text message, you'll know what I'm talking about. But in that text message, I don't remember what I said verbatim. I never said, y'all are out there in the hallways doing this and that. How could you? I could see if that were the way that I worded things, like, how could you guys do this? I know you're in the hallway doing this and that. I could see if it were that type of verbiage, right? And then this happened to me. I would have been like, okay, you deserve it. You went ham. You didn't even know if that was what was happening. I simply asked a question, y'all. I literally sent them the text message, and they know too, before I came home, that I had just came from Florida. I had just graduated, y'all, right? I was staying in some Airbnbs before I graduated. I stayed all over the place when I was in Florida for my 2 years, my last 2 years of college, right? I initially was in the dorm. I was there for a whole year. I had no issues there, at least not with the people I was living with. The reason I left was because I didn't like the state of the bathroom. I didn't like being in a crunched up room with two people, as a grown woman, because I did go back to school as an older female. I was in my late 20s. I was 26 when I went back to school. So staying in a dorm was just not something I was trying to do. I did things backwards. When I was in school in my early 20s, when I got my associate's degree, I had an apartment with my older sister. Then years later, when I went back to school for the second time to finish school and get my bachelor's, that was when I stayed in the dorm. So I did things backwards, and I felt that. I felt I don't want to say the consequence of that. I wouldn't say consequence. I mean, what happened afterwards, you could say, was a consequence. But I felt the effects of being on campus as an older woman. I didn't like how it felt. I just squeeze up in a dorm room with two people. The bathrooms, I didn't have any control of how the bathrooms were being kept. Not trying to sound bougie or stuck up, but I've told y'all this already in several videos. I have an OCD with bathrooms. I do not like bathrooms, y'all. Bathrooms make me feel sick, like physically sick. It's an OCD I've had since childhood. Not even just teenage years, not even just elementary school, like childhood. I have been this way. It's this weird thing where I don't like bathrooms to be open. I don't like the smell of bathrooms. If the bathroom is open, I can't swallow my spit. Like little petty stuff like that. I understand that sounds strange, but that's me. And it's always been me. Partially why I knew I had Asperger's. But anyway, so I don't like bathrooms. They make me feel sick. And so those bathrooms in the dorms were like really not, even my sister, my younger sister, who's the opposite of me, she doesn't care about that type of stuff. She's the kind that will rest her phone on the sink and not really think twice about it. Where I'm thinking about all the germs and the microbes that are on top of the sink. And I'm quarreling with her for putting her phone on top of the sink. And she's like, come on, Reefy, that's my nickname. She don't even care about that stuff. Even she was disgusted by these bathrooms. That's how nasty they were. The campus itself was a nice campus. It was a private university, nice cafeteria. The cleaning ladies did keep up with the bathroom. It wasn't their fault. It's just but so much they could do because the girls were really wutless in there. And wutless is just island term, y'all. It just means like kind of reckless, nasty. They were moving really nasty in those bathrooms, and it was like bloody pads all over the floor, blood smeared all over the seat, poop all over the seat, garbage, just they're throwing the garbage in the damn dorm stall. Not dorm stall, excuse me, shower stall. It's like, why is there garbage in here? Like, you skip the garbage to come in here and throw garbage? Like, little things like that. It was just too much for me. I didn't like to stay to the bathroom, and I didn't have control over it because it was a public bathroom that I had to use as a personal bathroom. So that, in addition to the fact that, like I said, I just didn't like having to share a room with two different people. I wanted my own space at 26. I had, at this point, already lived in an apartment before. So I wasn't used to now, having to go back to revert back to like how I was in childhood and share a room with two people. It just wasn't for me. I wanted an apartment. And I was working 3 different jobs. So I was just like, I can get somewhere. I could get an apartment. So if you're familiar with South Florida, you'll be familiar with the fact that it's like one of the most expensive places to get a place. It's very expensive to live in South Florida. And that was the issue I had. Looking for an apartment is like super expensive. Like a 1-bedroom, you're looking at 2,000 and change sometimes. Really expensive to live down there. And so despite working 3 jobs, I wasn't trying to pay that much money out of pocket for an apartment. And so I remember telling my mom, I wanted my own place. I'm looking at apartments, whatever, whatever. And just sharing the prices with her and stuff. And I don't want to tell y'all the story again. I'm not meaning to. It's just like, it perturbs me how they're not seeing that the text was just a reflection of what I had just experienced in Florida. I know they see it. It's literally this thing. I just was watching Married to Medicine earlier with Mariah. If y'all are familiar with that show, I do. I told y'all I like to watch that show, Mariah Huck. How when they iced her out of the show, Quad had one of the characters of the show was accusing her of, using drugs or whatever the accusation was.
Y'all, by the way, iced out just means like they ganged up on her and basically figured out a way to kick her off the show. They all like kind of ganged up on her.
And she was able to prove that she was telling the truth. They refused to open a girl's drug test. It took Dr. Eugene to open and read the drug test and legitimize the drug test because none of them liked her and they wanted her off the show. So even though they knew she was right, because they didn't like her and they're so in their grudge in their heart and whatever, they refused to acknowledge that she was right. It reminded me so much of my situation, y'all. This is literally what's going on. You have a bunch of people holding a grudge that don't like me as a person, and they know what I'm saying makes sense. I've articulated it very clearly in these videos. I know it makes sense to them, but they still want to just continue with this vigilante, unjust punishment because they think I'm a bad person or they're in their own feelings, right? They think I'm a bougie, whatever they think. And so they would rather go along with this illegal covert harassment program to an innocent individual because you don't like them as a person. And they don't think they're going to get karma for that from the Most High. Anyway, let me continue though. So that's what's going on. That's basically what's going on with me. They know that I didn't do anything, right? And that the text message resembled what I was experiencing in Florida before I came home. Right before not even to say it happened years later, right? And they said, okay, that she reached in. That's not the same thing. It was literally right after I came home from Florida. Came home to this island from Florida. I had just left the Airbnb where the crazy shit was happening that I talked about in my story. I had just called my family, the people in my close circle, crying about what was happening in that damn Airbnb, the last one I stayed in. And so then I come home and I send a text message, not even accusing you, asking you if you're doing what I had just experienced in the Airbnb I just left. Why would it turn into what it turned into? It's so weird. Why would it turn into that? So it's just a weird thing, and they keep insinuating it's about bearing false witness, but I've apologized. So what really is it about? Because I've already apologized for bearing the false witness. So what is it really about? Why are you still doing this? What is it really about? So anyways, because I'm really going off, y'all, and I'm not meaning to. I'm not really trying to, explode, but it's like when you're dealing with this unjust thing 24/7. I keep trying to tell y'all, it's like when you're a kid, you don't do something wrong and your parents, chastise you. Let's say you had, an argument with the teacher and you're actually right. But your parents listen to the teacher because the teacher's an adult, and you go home and you get licks from your parents, or you get, tap, beat, whatever, or timeout, grounded, whatever it is, whatever the punishment is, and you're flipping out because you were right. It's like that type of situation is how I feel. I'm trying to explain it to you. Anyway, so I'm trying to remember. I'm not trying to go off on a tangent, y'all. So basically, that's what happened, though. I sent the text message. I didn't accuse them of anything. I just said, I told them what I thought I was hearing. I said, I feel like I'm hearing stuff at night, like keys jingling when I wake up, or like somebody walking by, and my brother, he has earphones, and he'll be playing music on his phone super loud. You can hear it at night when he walks by. And so I'd be like somebody turning up their music, or tapping really hard on the floor when they walk by when I wake up at night. This is what I sent in the text, and I said, is that what's going on? I said, I know, I'm trying to remember what I said, y'all, because I can't remember verbatim. I said, I know y'all wouldn't gaslight me, right? I posed it as a question. I didn't say, how could you gaslight me or accuse them? I said, I know y'all wouldn't gaslight me, right? And I asked it as a question. The reason I asked that question, and the reason I even thought they were doing that in the first place or suspected, was because we had just had a big fight in the household. I had gotten in this fight with my mother. Oh my God, now I can't post this video. I'm not supposed to mention.
Yeah, I try really hard not to mention the people in my close circle because it causes problems for me. But I did mention this in my full story already anyways. I talked about this fight that happened. That made me feel like that's why they were doing the noise. What I suspected was noises happening outside that resembled what happened to me in the Airbnbs. That's why I suspected that they were doing that, because we had just had this big fight. And so I thought they were annoyed with me and that they were doing what was happening to me in the Airbnb, like to tease me kind of like in this kind of way because they were irritated with me. That's what I suspected. I didn't know concretely, and so I didn't accuse them concretely. I asked them. That's how I posed the text, as a question. I didn't accuse. I asked as a question. That's pertinent, y'all.
Family members. We'll have to do this video again. It doesn't matter, y'all. I said this in my full story. I'm not mentioning family members or people in my close circle. I really don't do that. I really try hard not to do that. But in this moment, I'm doing that because I'm telling the story, and it kind of slipped my mind. I was supposed to say this person in my close circle, but I told y'all this in the full story anyway. I won't mention anyone else, any specific relationships. But I had basically gotten in this argument, right, with the people in my household. And so that argument, it was a minuscule argument, but nonetheless an argument that happened. It made me feel like they might have been doing that to me spitefully because they were annoyed with me. Not that I accused them of doing it, but I suspected, maybe they started doing that to me because they know that was happening to me in the Airbnb and they're annoyed with me. That's what I was thinking. That was my train of thought. And so that's why I said, y'all wouldn't gaslight me, right? And I asked it as a question. I didn't accuse them. I asked it as a question. I posed it as a question. The moment I sent that text, everything I knew in my life changed indefinitely. Everything changed. It's not even to say, like I said, the crazy shit started happening on island. Like, damn, they took it too far, and then I was able to leave and start over. Like, they literally tacked this shit onto me and started stalking me ruthlessly because I sent a text message. You know what I mean? It's like this sick, twisted thing. It's like they're demented or something. It's like, I don't understand.
Yeah, when I said the demented part, I wasn't talking about my family. All when I was telling the story, they were revving by in the road. That's why I said it's like they're demented or something, because I'm sitting there and I'm giving you commentary, but not commentary, this is commentary. I'm sitting there and I'm telling you what I'm telling you in the video, but understand when I make these videos, I'm sure if you're targeted, you know what I'm talking about. You always have a live audience. You're being surveilled 24/7. And so while I'm telling the story, they're revving by. And when I said the thing followed me, they started to rev by. And so that got me pissed off. And that's why I said it's like they're demented or something. I wasn't talking about the people in my close circle, but that's what it sounded like. I was talking to the Rev campaign who was listening actively. They listen to everything I'm doing. Y'all, these people know me better than I know myself. I went to put on one of my shows the other night. And as soon as I got to one of the scenes that I had seen before, a while back, mind you, they already started revving by like they were familiar with what was going to happen in the scene. I was like, oh my God. I said, these people are watching everything play by play. I said, they know me better than I know myself. They know these shows I like to watch better than I know, and they rev by. I'm like, oh my God. It's so creepy, y'all, how they normalize the invasion of privacy. They have normalized it. Anyway, so that's what I meant when I said it's like they're demented or something. I wasn't talking about the people in my close circle. I was literally responding to the Rev campaign revving by while I was saying that the thing followed me and I was stalked ruthlessly.
Understand how you stalking an individual because I sent a text message. It's ludicrous to me. It's madness. And I could understand the island being whatever they decided to do, right? Because, the people in my close circle know a lot of people down here. Both of them do know a lot of people. They have a lot of connections. Okay, whatever. You spread it around island. That happened. Okay, cool. I could have left and started over and been fine. I don't hold grudges. I would have been like, okay, well, I sent the text. They decided to do that, whatever. I could have started over. I have a good resume, years of teaching experience. I graduated magna cum laude. I have all these different things on my resume. I had a high credit score. I could have went anywhere and started over. I don't give a rat's what happened down here. It's annoying I had to leave my home, but I could have just left and started over anywhere. It's the fact that the thing followed me. I had reactions to the abuse and the illegal harassment, and then I got freaking watch listed for it. I'm pissed. So anyways, I'm going off and I'm not meaning to. It irks me to no end because now I'm dealing with this annoying harassment, and it's way different than before I left Island. Like more harassment than before I left Island. It's not even just that I'm being followed and watched illegally, but now we have people in the mainland involved. They're using their technology on me, sending me bullshit every 5 seconds. I can't even watch a show comfortably. I'm microchipped. You have to understand the level of irritation that I'm feeling. And then they like to gaslight me when I make these videos and I'm going off. They want to gaslight me like I'm the problem, like I'm doing something wrong because I'm doing these videos and advocating for myself. And typically what annoys them is I can articulate and prove that I'm right. Now it sounds like I'm venting because I'm irritated. It's been all night of them sending me the bullshit, and I'm annoyed. I'm in a very irritated mood. I'm always irritated, y'all, but I'm very good at masking it because I know how the program works. But typically I can sit here and really bust these freaking false narratives down, bust on the bullshit tactics they use, show the fact that this is illegal injustice treatment, and when I do that, then they're going out of their way to bust my videos down, right? They're messing with the technology so I can't upload the video. They're striking the video down with flagrant ass lies, talking about I was talking about vaccines in the videos when I not once talked about a vaccine. This is what they're doing. Here's somebody roughing by now, right? It's sick. It's sick what's being done. Like, there are a lot of people involved that are actually down with what's going on, Like I'm saying, there are people that are not down with it. They can see the injustice in it. But then you have those people that are biased and subjective, and all they care about is the fact that she said offensive stuff. Instead of like really looking at the fact of why I said the offensive stuff, what was happening in the moment, the illegal shit that was happening to me, and the fact that I was reacting instead of really thinking, who nobody's thinking when that type of shit is happening to you. And all they can think about is she said offensive stuff, haha. Instead of looking at the fact that, oh, why did she say offensive stuff? This is still wrong what's being done. There's right and there's wrong, and there's having a moral. There's having morals and realizing when something is wrong. They don't even, it's like they're, like, some of them, like, moralists. It's like, it does.
I meant to say immoral. Some of them seem immoral, not moralless, immoral.
Doesn't even matter to them. Like, it's just, even if it's right or wrong, they don't care. Like, it's just like, okay, we don't like her. She said something offensive. Yeah. This is how some of them think. Like, it's weird. Anyways, I'm not meaning to vent and go off, y'all, because it's like, this is how they paint me as monster bitch. Because I'm going through all this illegal, heinous shit, right? And I sit here and I make these videos, and I typically can articulate clearly and not, like, flip off. I'm just really annoyed tonight. But when I have these moments like now where I'm flipping off, typically these moments happen off camera, right? I don't do it in person to anybody, but they're watching me 24/7, so I don't have moments of privacy to vent, right? So in these little private moments, I might start going off, I might start cussing off, I might start saying offensive shit, right, because of what I'm dealing with. And they would paint it like I'm a monstrous bad person when I'm dealing with heinous harassment from thousands and thousands of people 24/7. Do you understand the craziness of this program? And this is what they do to all targets. This is how it works. That's why it's such an effective program. It's so effective, y'all. Anyway, so it's just gaslighting nonstop. Like the whole program should be called gaslighting program. That's what it should be called. Anyway, I don't mean to be here venting, y'all. I'm really not trying to do that because I learned my lesson. I'm not really trying to sit here venting and let this program win or drain me, really, because it's.
So this is the point where I started to get it together, y'all, and calm down. I was just irritated because you don't understand when you're sitting there trying to watch a show and everything they're sending to you is ladled with stimuli and false narratives, and you have external gang stalkers who are watching you 24/7, revving by and irritating you. I'm not somebody that's sensitive to sound. Now I am. Noises annoy me now. I feel like an old biddy. You know, like those old bitter ladies? That's how I feel. Like loud noises irritate me now, and I'm only 32. Loud noises irritate me because I'm so freaking sensitized to it. And it's utilized as a tool against me.
Satanic, all of it, really. It's like this thing of tempting you to wrath and anger and to these heinous reactions so that they can paint you as monster bitch. Like, that's what it is. So really, I'm trying really not to be that person. I'm more so just trying to think strategically and get myself out of this shit, right? And so that's what I'm working on. The first thing I need to do is cut the signal to the cameras off because that is their main weapon. That is their number one weapon that makes this shit so effective and so torturous too. If I could cut the fucking cameras off, y'all, I would be in a much better mind state, I'm telling you. I would be cussing less. I would be going off less. I would be saying less offensive shit. I could get back to the old me, and then I could work on getting out of this rotten ass program. But when the cameras are on you, boy, you have moments where you react because it's 24/7. That's why it's so effective, right? And they stay there and they harass the individual and harass and harass and harass and harass until they get the reaction that they're looking for. That's how it works. So, anyways, I forgot what I was gonna say. This video was about me because I went off on a tangent, y'all. I'm still not done. Let me finish what I'm saying so I can circle back to what the video's about. So I was just basically telling y'all what started the targeting. Not what started it. Well, I did tell you what started it, sending a text message in 2020. But what led to it turning into what it is now? I sent the text 2020. For 2 years, I dealt with covert harassment. You know, it started out with me realizing that the people in my close circle almost felt like were monitoring me in the household. That's what it started out as. And I was like, oh my God, this is really like what was happening to me in the Airbnbs. I was like, are they just doing this to be spiteful because I sent the text message? I'm like, damn. You know, and I was thinking it was something they were going to do for a little while to be spiteful and then stop. I didn't think it would go so far and they would keep doing it and not only keep doing it, but spread it to other people. I didn't think that. I would never have thought that. Because you have to understand, I grew up in a very close-knit. I can't say too much or I could get in problems. I just never thought what was done would be done. That's all I'm going to say. I was blindsided. Like the true definition of being blindsided. So anyways, eventually when I realized it wasn't stopping what was going on in the house with the covert harassment, I didn't know I was being surveilled. Who knows, God knows when the cameras really started being utilized. When I became aware of the cameras was in 2021, a year later when I got my apartment. But for all I know, they probably had that shit in my room while I was in the house, all that, because I do remember when they started doing the in-house monitoring, right? I do recall sometimes like trying to move real soft, like off the bed and stuff, because I noticed like they would be making noises every time I would move in the room, like, and it would be this weird thing similar to what was happening in the Airbnb. It's actually not as bad now as it was back then. It's different now, but it's still like you're being watched, and more so like them doing noise campaigns to show you're watching, that type of thing. Not like literally every time I move type of thing, like what was being done back then. But I noticed every time I would move, there would be making noises similar to what was happening in the Airbnb. So I was like, damn, I'm moving so quiet. I know I didn't make a sound. How are they hearing me? And so now that I know about these damn insect drones, I'm like, shit, they probably were watching me from all back then. Even before the apartment, I just didn't know it, is what I'm thinking, but I really don't know. Anyway, so a year passes, I got my own apartment. I realized I'm being watched on camera. You know, this is when I was introduced to Rev campaign. Still didn't know the terminology, didn't know I was a target. I just knew this weird thing was happening, brewing up on Island because I sent the text. So I'm in the shower in my apartment. As soon as I take my clothes off, I'm hearing the person that lives upstairs stomping on the floor. You know, this is what they used to do. They'd be stomping on the floor and like kind of walking with you into the room you're walking into, that type of thing, right? So I'm just like, wait a minute, this is kind of weird. You know, I started feeling like I was being watched. I really did. I already kind of realized I was hearing noise campaigns out the apartment, and I was in denial about it. for a good while, I want to say like the first 2 weeks, I was in denial about what I was hearing because I knew it had followed me to the apartment. But I was like, no way, they took it this far. That outside people are involved. So I was just like, am I hearing what I think I'm hearing? But I knew I was like being monitored. It was the same thing like what was happening in the house. But worse, because I felt like I was being watched, and some of the noise campaigns were happening to me moving. And I'm like, I know they're not hearing me through these cement walls with my AC going. So I was like, are they watching me? This is what I was saying. I was like, there's no way. That kind of way, like, again, like I said, blindsided. I'm like, there's no way they would literally take it this far that they're having random strangers watch me in my apartment. I'm like, there's no way. This was my mindset. So then I'm going in the shower, and I realized when I'm going into the shower, this is when I got introduced to Rev campaign. Somebody would be speeding by on like a Rev engine, so it's either a motorcycle, motorbike. Y'all know what Rev campaign is, right? Check out my story again. Don't watch this if you haven't watched my story. I'm hearing Rev campaign every time I'm going in the shower. So I'm like, this could not be a coincidence. Every time I'm going in the shower, I'm hearing a Rev engine outside of my apartment. I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, they took it this far? Now the shock has worn off. I'm so desensitized to it, to the idea of this being done to me. I'm so desensitized. I'm not over it, and I'm not done fighting either, but I'm desensitized to it because you have to understand, back then I was so freaking hurt. It was like the biggest betrayal ever. At this point now, I'm so desensitized to it. It's like, okay, yeah, they did this. And so then, this is also too another thing, like, where I say it's gaslighting, because now I act cold towards them. I'm definitely not the Reefy I used to be. And they paint it like I don't care and I'm this apathetic, indifferent monster bitch child. This kind of way they're trying to paint it. When it's just like, all this happened to me and you don't think I'm going to be acting apathetic? Anyway, so that's what's going on. I noticed that there was they were watching me in the bathroom butt naked and whatever else they were doing, right? Because I sent a text message. And so all of this was happening. And so I got rid of the apartment. I turned in my 30-day notice. I stayed there for half a year, and then I turned in my 30-day notice when it just started getting too bad because I started getting reactive to what was happening. Not the type of reactive I got when I left Island. Not that type of reactive, but I was getting kind of reactive to what was happening. Even to the point where I purchased a doorbell camera so I could watch them. I couldn't watch them in their apartments like they were watching me, but I got some sick, at least like satisfaction at making them uncomfortable when they were coming out their apartment and watching them and letting them see what it felt like. I remember the neighbor, he was going to the garbage and he was acting so awkward going to the garbage because he saw my doorbell camera. I'm like, you acted so awkward like this. Imagine how I feel with you watching me in my apartment. And anyway, so I got a little bit of a kick out of that, but it really didn't do much for me. And it wasn't the same as them watching me in my apartment. But anyway, so eventually I left the apartment. I'm telling y'all the story again and I'm not meaning to. So let me fast forward through this because if you listen to my story, y'all will hear all of this. I'm not meaning to tell the story again. This video is going to end up being too long. That's not what this is supposed to be about. So anyways, fast forward, you got y'all from 2021. So the targeting started in 2020. I stayed on island for 2 years. 2022, I decided I had enough. I was ready to leave. I was going to relocate and start over. I didn't think it would follow me. Resigned. I had saved up about $4,000 and change. Had a good resume. Had all these different things going for me. I just knew I could go anywhere and start over. At least that's what I thought. Didn't know that this thing was a program. Thing followed me. I had some egregious reactions. Listen to my story, y'all. Also check out. I'm gonna get to the links in a minute, y'all. But if you listen to my story, you'll hear what happened. 3 main things that made the targeting go viral. People in the mainland got involved. The government in the mainland got involved. I believe I was watch listed at that point, right? And they started using all their technology on me. So they had already started here on island. They were already watching me on camera with their insect drones. This is why I couldn't find the cameras. They already were doing Rev campaign. This is why I'm questioning, was I watch listed before I even left island? Because for the thing to have followed me in the first place makes me suspect that I was watch listed, but I was probably at a lower level, a lower threat level. And I think once the reactions that I had happened and the people, the government in the mainland that got involved, I believe my watch listing went to a higher level is what I think happened. But I truly don't know. I don't know the ins and outs. Only the people involved really know what's going on. All I know is after I went to the mainland and I had the reactions that I had, that was when my thing blew up. People, like I said, government in the mainland got involved. They started using way more technology on me, way more manpower. And I got back to island and things had totally changed for me. I ended up being microchipped. They ended up microchipping me without my consent. They were already watching me without my consent anyway. So, I mean, how much more different is this? You're already watching me butt naked without my consent. They microchipped me. What else happened? started using their AI shadow networking, which is what this video is about, software and technology on me, sending all these false accusations to rile the people around me up, even though they're the ones who are involved and they're the ones who are really pulling the strings, right? And I'm stupid too, because they're really trolling the hell out of me, and I keep biting the bait and not realizing. I realize that that's what's going on, but at the same time, it's like sometimes it's like I don't know. It's like this thing where it's like I know they're so good at painting false narratives
And when I say false narratives, y'all, like I said, please don't watch this video if you haven't watched my prior videos, because you're going to be lost. I'm referencing things I've already mentioned in prior videos. Example of a false narrative is them trying to paint it like I'm somebody that steals. Let me just give you that example. And so constantly sending me videos with stealing in it, with the theme being stealing. And so I already know that this false accusation is swirling. They keep insinuating that I'm a thief. I know that the external gang stalkers are watching me via these insect drones. And so if I get awkward about the fact that they put this on the screen and I know they're staring at me, they're going to start to rev by and antagonize me for my awkward reaction. That's just an example. But that's what I mean when I say throwing false narratives at me. It's never direct and it's never overt. It's always covert, intangible forms of insinuation. So them sending, like I said, with their shadow networking software, videos in my recommended on YouTube, and all of the videos having the theme stealing, or somehow, some way, the word thief or stealing is mentioned. That's what I mean.
framing people, because Eric Snowden talks about this, and he said, be careful when you become targeted, because they are going to smear your name. And they have been doing that ever since the beginning of last year. Since I got back to this island and my targeting changed, and they started using their technology on me to malign me, they have been doing nothing but sending me a bunch of false narratives and social engineering with their technology to not only program my brain and get me to believe lies about myself, but then also trying to paint these false narratives and let that stick. This obscene thing. It's several things they're doing at once, y'all, and they're just constantly just circling the different false narratives and trying to get one of them desperately to stick. And if I'm able to knock it down, then they make my technology glitch. They'll either make the video, all of a sudden the video's not playing, or when I post a video, it's a copyright strike, right? And even though it's something that they can still play, all of a sudden the video's not showing, right? Or my favorite, they'll blatantly lie and say that I talked about vaccines and strike my video down. They've done that twice. So, anyways, this is what they do, and they don't even care that everyone's looking, because they know people are so in their grudging anyway. They're like, oh, they'll go along with it anyways. You know, like they don't care. They're just doing whatever at this point. Anyway, so I'm trying to reel it back in though, y'all. This is my part 3. This video. I might do this again too, because I don't like to rant and sound like I'm all over the place when I do these videos. I like to be calm, cool, and collected, and I like to be in order when I make these videos. I don't like being all over the place and like I'm shouting and ranting and raving. If I do these videos and I have an event, it's still organized. I don't like this disorganized, disheveled type of ranting type of video. I don't like that. So give me a minute though, y'all. Let me just circle around real quick. I'll be right back. Anyway, y'all, so what I was saying. So this is going to be part 3, example of shadow networking AI software utilized on targeted individuals. I did a part 1 video where I showed you how they try to sensitize me to the word pig, and how they're constantly sending me stimuli or videos in my YouTube recommended with videos about pigs, right? This is something that they're trying to do. Check out that video so y'all can hear more info about that. I'm not going to go into too many details about it. Then I did a part 2 video where I showed you the scene with this guy in the plaid shirt and all of the stimuli that they had in that one scene. This is a 3rd video now. This video that I'm about to share is from a target, a fellow target. I'm always mentioning him to y'all. His name is Truth Hurts Hypocrisy America here on YouTube. You can't see his name because this is a download. I'm not in the internet right now, but I have YouTube Premium, so I was able to download this video. You see what his video is titled? Targeted Individual, More Mocking Through Media. So he was one of those targets that realized that they have this AI shadow networking software that they use to paint false narratives and to malign targeted individuals, to program your brain, and also to mess with you psychologically. They come for your self-esteem with this software. They paint false narratives with this software. They program your brain with this software. I just recently was listening to my info video. I'm on the internet right now, and I kind of wish I downloaded it so I could play that part of the video for you. But if you listen to my info about the targeted, more information, about the targeted individual program and documentation. The thumbnail is a white screen with the orange letters that say info. It's the part 1 video. In that video, I'm giving y'all more information about the tactics that they use, and I'm talking about the same shadow networking software that they use on targets to send you videos with stimuli in it to sensitize you. And I was telling y'all about the movie It, part 2 that they sent to me when I was on Hulu. No, I was on Los Movies. And they sent that movie to me. And they're telling me what they're doing to me in the movie. Like, they're so blatant and so obvious because they think they could just do whatever. Because this thing is so comprehensive, this program, they don't even mind telling me what they're doing to me. Right? So towards the end of the movie with the It clown, they're showing that the way that they were beating It, the clown, and they keep trying to insinuate that I'm a clown too. That's something else they like to sensitize me to, but not often. But they have sent that as well. So they were trying to say that, excuse me, give me a second, y'all. They were showing me that the way that they were defeating the clown in the end of the movie was that they got the clown to believe bad things about itself, and that was how they were able to defeat the clown. So towards the end, like, the clown was doing all this crazy shit, right? And just really wilding out on them. And so they realized that if they got the clown to believe bad things about itself, they could beat it. So they said, "You're really, really small." All of them started screaming that at the clown. "You're small, you're small." And the clown got super small. And then they said, "You're really weak." And the clown was frail in the corner, weak and frail in the corner. You don't understand. The mental is really powerful. Your mind is more powerful than your actual body. What the Most High has given us, our brain, it's so powerful. This is why they keep trying to emulate it with their technology, with the nanobots and the this and the that and the AI, but it could never emulate the Most High's creation, at least not completely. Your mind is powerful, even with illness. In the holistic health community, it's understood that if you have a positive mindset, you have a higher chance of survival with anything that you're facing, any physical thing. Your mental could literally kill you if you have a weak mental. Right? If you have a weak mental state and you start believing all these bad things about yourself, then it becomes your reality. And so this is what they realize with this program, and they're trying to freaking get into your brain and get you to believe bad things about yourself so they can destroy you psychologically. That's what the program is designed to do. And so with the clown, they're showing me the clown, they're getting the clown to believe all this bullshit. And then they said, "Your heart is weak and it's beating slow." And so then the clown's heart starts beating out its chest and it's beating real slow, and the clown looking like it's about to, And they grabbed the clown's heart and they ripped it up. And that was how they destroyed the clown psychologically, by getting it to believe bad things about itself. And that's one of the main tactics they use in this program, y'all, aside from trying to malign you with false narratives, is getting you to believe bad things about yourself. So they'll come for your self-esteem constantly with this AI shadow networking software. They'll even do in-person gang stalking to get you to believe lies about yourself. One tactic they recently started using on me, and I mean recently, y'all, within the last week, and that's because they know that that's something that I've incurred or experienced in my past. I talked about this in my full story, y'all, about how this happened to me. They're doing this thing where they're pinching their nose and acting like I smell bad. Mind you, I've been going around for the whole year last year, and all of this year, and that was not happening. All of a sudden, you know how they start to sync, right? It's like a synchronization with this program, where they all start doing the same thing at the same time. This is why it's called synchronization. It's really creepy, y'all. It's like this whole computer simulation thing with this program. They all start doing the same tactic at the same time when you're targeted. All of a sudden, everywhere I'm going, I'm noticing people pinching their nose and acting like I'm smelling bad. It's this thing that they're doing. They started last week because they're watching me on camera. I just started working, as I told y'all, a couple months ago, right? So I'm now slowly but surely trying to get the stuff that I usually get for myself that I wasn't able to get because it's been a year of me not working. So I'm the kind that likes to get Listerine. Dr. Bronner's has this natural Listerine I like to use. It has peroxide in it, which is a natural germ killer because that's oxygen. That's liquid oxygen. So that kills germs and bacteria. I don't use the mouthwash that has the fluoride in it. I like to use Dr. Bronner's because it has peroxide and that kills bacteria. So I like to get that, and then I like to get a new toothbrush. I like to change my toothbrush every month, and I like to floss. So I was able to get those things now. I got that about a week ago. Do you know, as soon as I got that, all of a sudden everywhere I'm going, they're acting like they're pinching their nose? I'm like, you mean to tell me I actually just started taking better care of my mouth now because I was able to get the things that I needed? Not that I wasn't brushing my teeth before. I was still brushing before, but I wasn't able to do the things I normally do. And now you're smelling my breath? Like, you think I'm stupid? Like, this is just an example of them trying to get me to believe something bad about myself to destroy me psychologically. You know what I mean? So it's this kind of way where, even now when the supervisors pull up, it's this thing where I'm now putting my mask on my face. I wasn't doing that before. I was talking to them just fine. I'm putting my mask on my face and stuff, and I know my breath doesn't stink. I'm literally brushing my teeth so well, y'all. I'm brushing all the back of my tongue. I be seeing people do some lazy half-ass brush with their mouth, and they're talking all up in people's face. I be brushing all the back of my tongue, brushing my teeth, flossing, washing my mouth up before I brush and after. I know my breath is fresh, but I know what they're doing. And even though I'm cognizant enough to realize what they're doing, it's still they have the power. If they all say it's true, even if it's not true, understand it's true. You understand what I mean? So it's this kind of way where if the majority says something, even if it's not true, if they all make that their reality and they project that on you, that becomes your reality too, even if it's not true. So if they all start to gang together and say I stink, even if I don't stink, if they all act that way, that becomes my reality. And so this is what the program does. It's so freaking comprehensive. The only difference is they can't get me to believe bullshit about myself. What they try to do is do these tactics and not only make it your reality, but try to get you to believe the lie too. I'm not believing it. I know what's going on, but at the same time, it still feels weird. You know what I mean? It's still something that feels uncomfortable for me. So anyways, I was stupid. I sat there in my full story and I told them everything. Like I, on a silver platter, handed the gang stalkers the things that they could use against me is what I did. And I talked about all of my insecurities. I've talked about some of the things that I've been through, all of these different things. And I literally, like I said, on a silver platter, handed the gang stalkers ways that they could destroy me. I talked about the fact that I had this fear of BO, and so I've always had OCD with doing this and doing that. And I said a lot of stuff in my full story just trying to be candid and not yet learning the program. I hadn't learned the program. When I told my full story, initially, December of 2022, that was around the time when I had just started learning I was a target. So I hadn't learned the program yet, not the way that I know it now. If I had known what I know now, I would not have said half of the shit I said in my full story. Anyway, so I'm not meaning to go off on a tangent, y'all. It's not a tangent because it all relates to what I'm about to show you. But so I don't want to go off, I don't want the video to be too long. I realized already that I went off on a tangent because I started telling y'all about, how the technology changed when I got back to Island. And I was trying to tell y'all about, there was something I was trying to get to telling y'all about and I forgot, man. I just hopped right into what the video's about. That's a good thing. Because oftentimes with these videos, I end up talking so much about other stuff that it'll be like an hour and 20 minutes of me talking about other stuff, and then towards the end, for the last 10 minutes or 20 minutes, I'll talk about what the video's actually about. So it's good that I cut off what I was saying before, but at the same time, I did recognize that I went off on a tangent. I didn't come back, so I apologize for that. But what I did want to say earlier was just check out the links in my description box, y'all. I already started saying that. Check the important info out there, in those links. But then there are also 3 links that lead to the videos where I tell my story. One link leads to my full story. It's a 7-part, 12-hour video compilation where not only do I tell you how I became targeted in 2020, but then I also tell you the backdrop story and some of the things I've been through since age 23. It's been about a decade of me dealing with weird, crazy, astronomically strange stuff. Then there's my commentating over a clip video where I went into my full story. I fast forwarded to the portion where I talked about what started my targeting. And I did a screen recording of that portion of the video. And I provided commentary, up-to-date commentary over it. Just expounding a little bit more on what started the targeting, and also just giving y'all kind of an update. And I created that about 3 months ago. So if you don't have time to sit there and listen to my full story, but you want to know what started my targeting, I would recommend watching the commentating over a clip video. It's much shorter than the full story. And then there's a third video that talks about what started my targeting, and it's called Summary of How I Became a Targeted Individual. And it's about the same length as the commentating over a clip video. But out of the 2, I would recommend that you watch the commentating over a clip video if you don't have the time or patience to watch the full story. There's also a video underneath those 3 links that's titled Gaslighting and Programming of the Targeted Individual Program Part 1 video. And in that video, not only do I tell you, kind of summarize what started the targeting in that video as well, just in it's a lot less descriptive, much less, I'm stammering, y'all. So it's not as detailed. I just quickly brush over telling you what started my targeting in that video. But more so in that video, more than any other video, even more than my full story, I give you details about what happened to me when I tried to relocate off island in 2022. I talk about it in my full story, I do in depth, but not the way that I do in the gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual part 1 video. In that video, I talk about things I didn't talk about in my full story that happened to me when I was in Indiana. Some of the things that happened that caused the 3 egregious reactions that I had, it was reactive abuse, a reaction to abuse, but 3 reactions that I had that caused my targeting to skyrocket, go viral, and change, and what I believe caused me to become higher on the threat level list. I believe either that was when I got watch listed, or I was already watch listed, but my threat level went much higher. One or the other happened there. But the thing went viral. People in the mainland got involved because I am in America, y'all. I'm on an island. That's American territory. But the mainland, when I say the mainland, I'm talking about the United States. I'm not in the United States. When I tried to relocate and went there, and I had the 3 reactions that I had to the thing following me, right? All of it was a reaction. The incident with the homeless man, y'all are going to hear about that if you listen to my full story or the commentating over a clip video. The incident with the homeless man, the incident with the police officer in Indiana, and then the coup de grace, the things that I shared in my car in Florida. Those 3 things are what led to my targeting skyrocketing and going viral. It's what led to me being microchipped. It's what led to them using their AI shadow software network on me and trying to malign me and smear my name. It's what led to a lot of things, y'all. Things got much worse for me when I tried to relocate, and I really wish I had sat there before I left and had done research and learned about this program, because things would have been so different for me. You have to understand, I had no idea that something like this existed, and I didn't think that it would ever expand beyond the island. I literally thought it was just something they had thrown together here on island because I sent the text and I annoyed them, and I thought it was just something they were doing to annoy me. I did not know that this was actually a program that existed in the mainland. I had no clue. I wish I did, because I would have moved so different. I would have kept my apartment. I would have purchased something to cut off the signal to the cameras now that I know that that option exists. I would have sat there and carefully planned. I would have saved my money, more money than what I saved. And I would have just moved completely different, y'all. It would have been a whole different thing that would have happened with me. But unfortunately, I learned when I learned. After I had done left and all these things happened to me and then blew up, and I realized, wait a minute, this is definitely something. This is something that they're doing. Some sort of something that they have that they're doing to me. It was too many people stalking me, too much synchronization. It was too well put together. I was like, this is something else going on here, man. And so when I got back home and I did research and I typed in people being stalked by groups of people, the term gang stalking popped up. And when I looked up gang stalking, the term targeted individual popped up. They saw when I learned it. And I said, huh? Targeted individual? Because I remember them making noise campaign when I found it. And so I started to dig like crazy, y'all, because that's the kind of personality I have anyways. Much less if it's something that's directly affecting my life. I started to do research like crazy. And I started learning more and more and more and more. And it seemed like the more I learned, the more it became a problem. And the more they tried to malign me, and the more they tried to smear my name, and the more it seemed like my threat level went up. The more research I did, but that's the natural human response. When you're dealing with something otherworldly that's affecting your life and impeding your life, of course you're going to look into it. That's a natural human response. And so the more I looked into it and then started making these videos, it seems like the more the thing like developed and started to create this horrible thing for me. Anyway, so that was like when I started learning about all the technology and the tactics that they use. And so this is where I started to come across shadow networking. I didn't come across shadow networking until towards the end of last year, actually. I knew that they were targeting me through the TV. That much I did realize. I just like how he has it here, how he has the title targeted individual, more mocking through media. I used to call it targeting through the TV. I came to the realization that they had some sort of way where they were able to change the technology, not only just send you videos with stimuli in it, with their AI shadow networking software, but I was realizing it seemed like they could change up already recorded videos. I didn't even know they had that type of technology. I started realizing that at the beginning of last year. But then I found this guy's page, and I saw his videos about targeted individual more mocking through the media, and I was like, wait a minute, so I'm not crazy. This is something they're doing. Because I had already started catching on before I saw another target talking about it. And then when I saw him talking about it, I was like, wait a minute. And I saw how he was showing what they were doing. I was like, so this is something that they do. And so I started to really get like excited because I was like, okay, you know, when you can prove it, because remember I told y'all this is psychological warfare, and they have all these different tactics to mess with you psychologically and make you feel like you're going crazy. This is where the fictitious mental illness schizophrenia comes from. But let me not go down that rabbit hole because that's a conspiracy theory. You know, some people say that this program is designed to emulate schizophrenia. And then other people are saying schizophrenia doesn't exist at all. It's a targeted individual that has been gaslit so damn good that they think they're crazy. So I don't know where I stand with that, y'all. You know, I did a video a while back and I'm mad I deleted it. But around that time when I had, you know, did that little video where I told you I was going to delete some of the stuff because I was getting backlash from all the research I was doing and the stuff I was kind of like sharing in my videos, that was one of the videos I deleted. But I found this lady on YouTube. I don't even remember her name. I know I could find her. If I go to the internet right now, I keep saying I'm going to make another video about that. The schizophrenia targeted individual correlation. I keep saying I'm going to make another video. But I just kind of put it off, you know, and I'm not really wanting to, like I say, go down the rabbit hole and all that. But she claims to be, I don't want to say claims to be like she's lying, but the reason I'm saying claims to be is because from what she said, I can tell she's targeted. So it's either that claims to be like she thinks that she is and she's not, she thinks she's schizophrenic and she's not, or she's a plant claiming to be schizophrenic to insert more subterfuge in the targeted individual community to discredit us. So I'm not really sure what it is with her. I can't tell, but she seems really authentic. Either she's a good ass actor that belongs on Broadway, or she's truly targeted and thinks she's schizophrenic. But it was more than just emulation of the program. It was the thing she was saying, even talking about law enforcement following her in ambulances, and you know, this is not just an emulation at this point. You are targeted. All the stuff she was saying in her video, right? I was like, oh my god, this lady's a target. You know, she was talking about the fact that, you know, it felt like people were stalking her, right? And that they were all against her. She said she was seeing ambulances and police cars. She said when she's having what was she calling it? I think she was calling it a manic episode. So I think she feels like whenever she doesn't take her meds, she's having an episode. But what I think is the targeting amps up whenever she stops taking the meds. They want her on meds. So it seems like whenever she stops taking the meds, they start to amp up the targeting, and she thinks it's a schizophrenic episode. She even has a man that's obviously a gang stalker, but he's with her. He married her and had a baby with her. They have a newborn. And I remember this video, she had like black rings around her eyes, like she was really going through. I don't know if they had started hitting her with radiation or what was going on. But she was saying she was having a manic episode and she was recording it for us to see. And I'm hearing outside noise campaign in the house. You know, I see her looking behind her shoulder like this, like the dude was in the house doing noise campaigns on her, and they just had a newborn. I'm like, how heartless could you be? You know, like, and she's in there, and it's like he was trying to get her to the mental asylum, I guess, to get her on the meds again. And so he's out there doing noise campaigns on her, and she's doing the video, and I'm just looking at the loss look in her eyes, and I'm like, girl, do you realize you're targeted? You know, I'm trying to comment in the comment section to wake her up. You know, like, take the red pill, sis. You're targeted. You're not schizophrenic. And I realized they're blocking me from putting comments under her video. So there are targets out there that are genuinely lost and haven't.
Y'all, I apologize. I'm doing this pre-recording as y'all have heard me doing commentary over it. Y'all know I started falling asleep on myself. I apologize. The phone fell on the floor, so that's what you all heard.
Had the wherewithal to do the research and figure out that this is something a psychological program being utilized on them. They really think they're crazy. I could not imagine all of these tactics being used on me and not realizing what was going on. I could only imagine how freaking scary that must be. Anyway, so I forgot what I was gonna say now. Because it just throws me off. They started doing the rooster in the background. It just throws me off when I start thinking about that lady. I'm probably like literally in the near future gonna do a video about her, y'all. But anyways, so I just started realizing at the beginning of last year that this is something they do. Part of the tactics they use. So because I feel like I went off on a tangent where I was telling y'all about the cloud and stuff. No, I didn't. I finished telling y'all about that, how they just try to get you to believe lies about yourself, and others to believe lies about you too. But anyway, so here it is. It says targeted individual, more mocking through media, right? And so this was like one of the first videos I saw from another target that just kind of validated what I had been experiencing and what I had been suspecting. So I first heard it from him, from this guy, Truth Hurts Hypocrisy America, him showing videos about how they were mocking him through the media. And then later, in the year when you guys saw my pertinent information about the targeted individual program part 1 video, which is also in the description box, y'all. Check it out. That's where I first learned about shadow networking. So I learned what the terminology for this technology they're using on us is called. And I learned it from Michael Barden's page. And I learned that a few months ago, like towards the end of last year, right? That was like 4 or 5 months ago when I learned about that. And so I actually shared a clip from Michael Barden's page where he was actually telling you what the title, what the name of this technology is, what the terminology is, and how they use it to social engineer false narratives, right? And to malign you and to mess with you psychologically. So like I said, it's not only just to paint false narratives, it's also to get you to believe lies about yourself and to warp your view of yourself. And one of the main tactics they also like to use is coming for your self-esteem, like I said. Like, hence, what they do to me, where I'm coming around and they're pinching their nose when I know I smell good. And I know they know I do too, where I just literally wash my clothes fresh. I just brush my teeth, I'm wash my mouth out. I sprayed on perfume, I put on deodorant, I know I'm smelling good, and you're holding your nose like you're smelling something. And if enough of them do it, even if I know I'm smelling good, that's becoming my reality. I am the stink girl, even though I'm not. Do you understand? So this is how it works. And so this is how they come for you. Another thing they're doing is coming for my looks, constantly attacking my looks. When I fix myself up, I'm one of those people that you would say clean up nice, right? I clean up nice. I don't do much. I don't put on makeup. I don't wear foundation. I'm not talking down on anybody that does. I'm not judging anybody that does. As a matter of fact, I've always kind of thought it was cool, those girls that know how to put on makeup and really make it look banging. I never had the wherewithal to do it. I don't have the patience. I have oily skin. I don't like all that makeup on my face. I just haven't had the patience, but I've always thought it was beautiful. And I wouldn't mind wearing a full face of makeup if I have an event that I'm going to. But I don't do that. I don't wear that on a regular basis. I put my eyebrows on, right? And when I say put them on, I just mean like I like to shade them in and make them look nice, right? I put on a little lip liner. And I might put on lip gloss or lipstick. That is it. And I comb my hair. I don't wear makeup like that. They're using their AI shadow networking. I told y'all they do it through the radio as well. As soon as I get in the vehicle, they start playing songs in all of the radio stations about girls that look good, only look good with makeup on. Or they'll play songs about girls that look good without makeup on, that don't need makeup to look good. Why are you doing that? That's telling me that you felt, because I'm smart enough to realize that you felt like I looked good as I stepped in this car. And so you felt like tearing me down with your technology. That's a tactic they use coming for your self-esteem. And so you felt like tearing me down. You didn't like that I was looking good and feeling good about myself. So you felt like tearing me down and reminding me that you don't look good without makeup. And when I say reminding me, trying to make me feel that way. And I do drag around the house and look rough sometimes, y'all. I do. I'm in my house. People have moments where they look rough, but I don't have privacy. So they're seeing me any old way. I have no privacy and I don't care at this point either, because sometimes I would leave without any of that stuff on my face anyways. I'm just a natural girl. That's just how I am. So you're not bothering me. What you're telling me is that you thought I looked nice as I stepped in this car and you wanted to tear me down. That's what you're telling me when you do this. So it actually bigs up my head when they do it. I actually feel like, okay, so today's the day where I'm looking nice. Check. That's how it makes me feel, so they stop doing it. They don't do that anymore at all, y'all. They use different other things, other songs to come for my self-esteem now. Not that. They don't do that at all anymore. I guarantee you after I made these videos, they stopped doing that. Anyway, so that's just one example though. So they use it to warp your view of yourself and make you believe lies about yourself and also make you feel low on yourself. And so he says, more mocking through the media, they were doing it to him too. And he even says in the video that mockery is their greatest tool. It is. They're trolling me constantly with this AI shadow networking, y'all. Not only with painting the false narratives, but again, coming for my self-esteem. They're doing all kinds of stuff, y'all. They be wiling out with the AI shadow networking on my phone. And so I wanted y'all to see what's going on. And mind you, I've seen this dude, and he's a handsome dude. He wears glasses. He looks nothing, no disrespect to the guy that's in this video. Because obviously they're using this guy to mock him. And I don't want to come for anybody. It seems like the guy's kind of cuckoo anyways. It seems like what he had going on in this video, he's not a good person anyway. But the point is they're trying to mock him and put this dude on the screen and play it like he's like this dude who's apparently some sort of creepy guy that has...
Who I'm saying is not a good person. I'm talking about the guy that they're using to mock him.
A lot of weird stuff going on. And when I've seen this guy, he's a good, attractive guy. He wears glasses, yes, but he's attractive. And he is a cool person, a very normal dude. He was similar to me, articulating a lot of stuff. This is why I liked watching his videos. And I noticed he stopped posting. Like, I haven't seen him in like 3 years post a video. So I'm hoping that somehow he figured out a way to get out of this shit. And it's not that they did something to him. I'm really hoping he's okay. But anyways, he was really busting down a lot of stuff in these videos, kind of like what I do. He's one of the few targets I saw doing that. I was like, this is why I like this guy so much. But he even started digging down some rabbit holes with conspiracy theories similar to what I was doing, which is what can happen if you do research with this program. Anyone could do research and find some of the shit I found, but it's only because they're watching me and painting false narratives that they try to spin it and create weird stuff with the stuff that I found last year. I just learned that stuff last year. And now I'm freaked out about what I learned because I realized what they started trying to do with the stuff that I was learning. And they're seeing me learn it. They're seeing me look it up. They're watching me look the stuff up and...
But understand, y'all, the way they use their technology is they're on it, y'all. Everything you do, they simulate. Everything you talk about, they simulate. And they use it to try and create a false narrative and malign you. That's how it works. That's why it's like, to me, I think it's common sense. Some of the new narratives they're using, it should be common sense that they're just trolling me. I mean, why, when I was in my car in Florida, when they were initially using the software on me and I wasn't aware that that was being done to me, why weren't they posting some of the stuff that they're posting now, like the selling out narrative? If that were really the case, why weren't they sending me that type of stimuli when I was in my car in Florida? Why wasn't any of the newer stuff? Why was it mainly focusing on the predator stuff? Because that was what was trending at the moment, and that was what they could use at the moment to malign me. Then new stuff happened that they felt they could use, and they started to create and simulate a new narrative, several, and trying to malign and create these false narratives with their technology. It's very effective, y'all, and everything you say and you do, they use against you, and they it's this weird thing where they warp it, and they're able to create these false narratives. It's a very creepy, comprehensive smear campaign framing program. It's really freaking creepy, y'all.
Learn as I go, and as soon as I learn something new, I'm like, aha, I gotta do a video about this. And I do a video about it, and they're actually like using it to create these false narratives and try to scare me out of making these videos and try to scare me out of like exposing what I'm learning. Instead of being like, wait a minute, this really exists? This is gnarly stuff that I'm getting involved in. I'm talking about the gang stalkers. I don't want to be a part of this. But anyways, so let me go ahead and play this for y'all. This is one of the videos where he's showing...
That I'm being stalked.
Sorry, this is one of the videos where he's showing what they do, y'all. So let me turn it up.
And here's how this guy has the same name as me, he has a mini fridge as me, and he has a Glade plug-in. Glade plug-in. Got a Glade plug-in. He has a Glade plug-in, right? So, and his name is the same name. Now watch this.
Oh, okay. She's over there, so just... We agreed to not record a woman's body that was unwrapped and unrefrigerated in the back corner.
Oh yeah, this is what I meant by he was creepy, y'all. He had a woman's body. I forgot. I haven't watched a video in so long. That's what I meant by creepy. And they're trying to play it like he's like that. They keep trying to make you believe like you're this heinous thing. Like It the Clown. It the Clown is such a freaking creepy, gnarly beast of a thing. They're trying to make me feel like I'm It the Clown, and they're constantly with their shadow networking. Also sending me stimuli about monsters and beasts and pigs. This is what they do to targets. They try to get you to believe these heinous, horrible, lewd things about yourself.
And it couldn't be because there's no walk-in refrigerator.
All right. Well, this little refrigerator for storage, for little things, you know what I mean? So I can keep an eye on certain things, right? So just want you to know that that's in here. So when you see this...
By the way, some targets do deal with that poisoning and stuff. Y'all, I'm blessed to the point where the people in my close circle, although all of this happened, I didn't even think this would be done to me, and I get backlash when I say that, like, we're doing all this to you, then why are you here? This type of thing, like, it didn't really happen, but these things really happened. It's not a why are you here thing. These things really happened. So I don't understand when I talk about it, why I get that type of backlash. Like, why are you here if we did all this, but this did happen. But anyways, I don't think they would take it. I want to venture to say that I know. I would have years ago said that I know that they wouldn't have done, this wouldn't happen, right? But I still believe they wouldn't do this. I don't think they would poison my food and all that. I did tell y'all what happened to me at the beginning of last year, but I believe that was, I don't want to say too much. I don't think that was them, but I think that was allowed to happen to me. But for 2 months, I suspect I was hit with energy weapons, and I did deal with nano and stuff, but I suspect they were doing it to scare me. It wasn't to the point like what was happening with this guy where it seems like they were poisoning his food and stuff. Some targets have it bad, y'all. It just depends on your threat level. It depends on who all that type of stuff like that. Because a lot of times they'll target people that don't have family or people that can really advocate for them. And so if that's the case, you're really out there in the cold. So even if the people in your close circle put you in the program, if they have enough moral to not let certain things happen, then certain things won't go down. But if you're one of those people that don't really have a support system like that and you get thrown in this program, from what I've heard from some targets, it gets real gnarly, y'all. Like poisoning and everything. And so that's what was happening to him. This is why I said I'm fearful when I said that he hasn't posted in 3 years. And he's in the mainland, y'all, in the U.S. and in the States. I'm in the U.S. too, I keep telling y'all, but I'm on an island. I mean the States when I say the mainland. The targeting up there is way worse than in the islands. I've experienced that, and I've seen another target say the same thing, that he went to the islands, and it was a lot better than what was happening to him in the States. It's still bad. They're still on top of you. They're still watching you. They're still harassing you. But it's much worse in the States, y'all. It's much more scary and much more invasive. Anyway, so it seems like they were poisoning him, and this is why I keep saying I hope the man is okay. But anyway, this is a different tactic they were using on him. Remember I told y'all they have universal tactics that they use on targets. So tactics that they use on all targets in their programs, right? Like, for instance, coming for the self-esteem, and then gaslighting you and calling you a narcissist, when that's a natural reaction to constantly being torn down. Check out my narcissism video, y'all, where I broke that down. That's a tactic they use on all targets. That's a universal tactic. But then they have tactics they use specific. They have tactics that they use that's specific to your targeting. So, like for me, for instance, something they use specific to my targeting is bearing false witness. I told y'all that has played a contentious role in my targeting. That's one of the things they use in my targeting, specific to me. Another thing specific to me is the pig thing. I'm not sure if that one is universal, and I told y'all that. I'm not sure if that's because they like to insinuate heinous things about targets. So I don't know if that's universal or specific to my targeting or not. But another thing is stealing. They use that specific to my targeting because of something I said about my roommate in my full story. And then also a story I told that happened, something that happened to me when I was working at Walmart. Not that I stole, but this weird incident that happened that kind of reminded me of something that happened to my roommate that I talked about in my full story. You have to listen to my full story to know what I'm talking about, y'all. But because I said that, you know how they grab everything and create it and make it into something that they throw at you? Stealing is something they use specifically in my targeting. That's not something they throw at all targets. But the narcissism thing, they love to throw that moniker at all targets. Coming for your self-esteem, that's another universal tactic they use on all targets. Noise campaign, universal tactic they use on all targets. And this, the AI shadow network software, where they hack your technological devices and send you videos with stimuli in it to sensitize you. So they're doing that to him. They're doing it to me. I believe they do it to all targets, whether you realize it or not. But they have different ways that they use it. With me, it's just sending me stuff that they know is going to make me uncomfortable. And if I have an anxious reaction because I know I'm being watched, then they'll do noise campaign in the background. With him, he seems like one of those really don't give a F type of people. They be sending him all kinds of stuff and it doesn't seem like he has a reaction. It seems like to mess with him more instead, they would purposely send stuff like to emulate what's in his bedroom. They haven't done that to me. So to get in his head because they can't get a reaction out of him, he doesn't seem to be an anxious person. What they would do instead would be to emulate, like send him a video, like what they did there with this guy that supposedly has a dead body in his room and is this creepy guy, and has glasses like him and has the same name as him. In the guy's room, he had similar things to what this guy had in his room, and they're going in on it, and making it seem like he was weird for having those things in his room. Regular household items, gaslighting, making him feel like it's weird to have those things in his room. So watch and see.
You'll understand in a minute.
You're inside this makeshift morgue. Only 2 small freezers that can be purchased at any big box store.
Okay, so, what jumps out at me the most about Sean's tricked out death hunch isn't the single glazed plug-in, or the name Sean surrounded by green hearts on the whiteboard, or the Tupperware containing...
Mind you, the name Sean, that was surrounded by green hearts on the whiteboard, was spelled the way he spelled it. He spells it. Now, mind you, I've seen both spellings of Sean, and I've known several Seans in my life. But the common spelling for Sean is S-E-A-N. The S-H-A-W-N is a less common spelling of the name Sean. This guy in the video has the name Sean spelled just the way he spells his name Sean. And they have this guy roasting the Sean in the video, and going in on him about the things that this guy had in his room too. You know, mockery is the greatest tool. They come for your self-esteem. They do it to me all day long, y'all. This is what they're doing to him. And so he busted down in this video, and that is your best countermeasure against the tactics they use in this program. And this is why they can't stand me, and I think this is why they couldn't stand him. When you're able to break down the tactics they're using, make a video about it and articulate it, it's less effective, and they don't like that. And that's when they start lying and striking your video down and saying you're talking about vaccines when you didn't. And that's when they start making the technology malfunction, where the video will not work anymore, or whatever it is that they decide to do to try to stop you from busting down and counteracting their tactics.
Fake CT and/or human remains. Or the ominous presence of what appears to be a spray bottle of scrubbing bubbles multi-surface bathroom cleaner.
The ominous presence, right? Look, he has the cleaners in his room. Now that's good. If you have scrubbing bubbles in your room, that's a good thing. That shows. Look, I'm pausing. I didn't even unpause it. That's a good thing if you have scrubbing bubbles in your room. That means you're a clean person. You're cleanly. You're cleaning. They're making it like that's a bad thing, gaslighting him, the ominous presence of scrubbing bubbles. Because remember, the Sean in the video has a body in his room, right? But the Sean that they're emulating ain't got no body in his room. So it's not ominous to have cleaning products. They know how to make regular everyday things bad. Like, they know how to perverse things. It's this weird thing that they do. They can perverse things, and they can make it obscene, regular things. They're very good at what they do, y'all.
Of Nerds poster, or the even sicker Albert Einstein poster opposite the room temperature cadaver, or the desktop skull, or the unfolded beach towel, or even the wall-to-wall carpeting. No, what gets me is that even within a grifter's back alley autopsy shanty, the most objectionable item on display there is somehow that absolutely enormous shoulder.
I got towels in my room folded. I had this cup, one of this Burger King cup out of it.
Now, mind you, so he's said that they like to call him fat. You remember I was just telling y'all, they have universal tactics they like to use on all targets, and then they have specific tactics to your targeting. They like to insinuate he's fat. I told y'all I saw this guy already. If I were in the internet spot, I would go to the video where I saw him. This guy is not even heavy set. Not even heavy set. I don't even understand what they're coming with. But apparently he says it's because he used to eat a lot prior to his targeting. So he's not a big dude at all, right? But they like to insinuate that he's fat, right? And so he does these videos talking about the fact that that's one of the things they sensitize him to. That's specific to his targeting. Remember I told you they use things specific to your targeting? They like to sensitize him to fat people. And he said the gang stalkers that come around...
Mind you, when I saw the guy, right? Not fat at all. Not even somebody you would call heavy set. The dude is 5'9" and 150 pounds. He's actually skinny. They're just trying to sensitize him to not eating, because he said what it is before his targeting, he weighed 20 pounds more, which that still isn't fat. For 5'9", he said he weighed 20 pounds more in one of his other videos, and he used to eat a lot, and not eat a lot as in he was overweight, but the fact was he liked to eat food. And now that they were poisoning his food, or at least fear-mongering him and making him feel like the food was being poisoned, he had lost weight. And then from what he was saying, it seems like they were hitting him with energy weapons too. So he lost weight. And so it's this kind of way to tease him about the fact that he is no longer his healthy self, but also trying to get in his head and make it seem like he's this greedy person. You know how they do with the psychological warfare, right? And so this is what they're trying to do. When I saw this man is not even somebody you would call heavy set. Slim, slender dude, good looking dude, right? And they're testing him and coming for him. And this is why I said, you'll be quick to say hater, because what they're doing is what a hater would do. That's what it seems like. But it's a tactic that they use. That's a universal tactic.
Him, the stimuli they present are fat people. They always have fat people when he's going to the bakery and stuff. Excuse me for using the term fat if that sounds derogatory. I'm just literally telling y'all what was going on with this guy. Or overweight. Let me use that word if that's less offensive. But they'll literally have overweight people going into the stores that he's going to when he's going to get food and stuff. They'll have someone overweight going into the store as he's
comical, by the way, guys. He's funny. The guy had me cracking up when I was watching some of his videos. I was watching him a lot at the beginning of last year. And he was showing literally that they're everywhere he went. They were showing overweight people going into the stores before him, trying to rush into the store before him. So one time he pulled up at the bakery and this little short overweight lady was like literally shuffling to get into the damn bakery. And he said, look at this. He said, there's no way. And excuse me if this is offensive. Again, I'm really just repeating what he said. I don't mean to say fat. Like I said, I'm going to say overweight, because I don't want, I almost want to say fat is subjective, because what one person might consider fat, someone else might not. But there is a universal understanding of what overweight is, right? So he went one time with this lady where she was shuffling into the bakery. He was recording it, and he said, "Look at this." He said, "You really think they got fat people on standby?" He said, "It's like they got these fat people on standby." He has a New Yorker accent. I'm not even doing the accent correct. I'm kind of doing a Southern accent. But he was like, "Yo, like they got these fat people on standby." He said, "Look at this." He said, "Every time I pull up, it's like fat people on standby." You know, he was recording her, like the lady was shuffling into the damn bakery. I don't know if she was getting paid good to do it or what, but she was shuffling, trying to beat him into that damn bakery.
Pulling up, right? And they like to sensitize him to overweight people. So they're trying to tease him about the big cup, right? As you can see, he has a regular sized Burger King cup. They over exaggerate everything. They do that to me too. They over exaggerate everything. That is their greatest tool. Mockery and over exaggeration. This dude ain't even fat, okay? You heard that? You fucking monster! And this is what they do to me too, constantly sending stuff about being a monster, being a this and that, and they go ham in the video too, you know, and they know that you're being stared at by all these people, so that's humiliating, where they're roasting you through these videos, sending you all this offensive shit, and they know that you're being stared at by all these people, and that typically you're aware of the fact that you're being stared at. Most targets are privy to the fact that they're being watched. They catch on eventually. He knows he's being watched and surveilled. He knows it. He was even in one of his videos talking about, man, a lot of flies in here. I think he knew about the flies for some reason. He didn't lambaste it. I don't know why. But he kept like pointing out flies in this kind of way. Like I felt like he was catching on the flies were cameras. But he never said it. I don't know why. But anyways, maybe he didn't want more problems with these people. But I don't even believe that, because he was lambasting everything else. So I really didn't understand why he didn't. I think he was catching on, but he wasn't sure, I think is what it is. So he didn't want to do a video about it. Whatever the case is, it's embarrassing. You know you're being watched, whether you realize what they're using to watch you or not. You know they're watching you, and they know that you know you're being watched, and then they're gonna roast you, and they know that you're aware of the fact that the people watching you typically don't like you, and then they're gonna roast you. You know, I'd send you these humiliating, embarrassing roasts. They do it all day. You see how his thing said they do this all day? They do it to me all.
Hold on a second, y'all. There's noise outside the door, like somebody's walking by or something. So just give me a minute.
Day too, while you're being stared at. It's psychological warfare, i.e. soft warfare. Check out my pertinent information about the targeted individual program, video link that's in the description box, where I showed a clip from Michael Barden's page where he's talking about this AI shadow network software that they use, and the fact that it's called soft warfare because it's psychological warfare.
This repurposed wrong.
I also do have a ramen container up here that I wouldn't say it was repurposed. I may have put some ads in it.
And I have to assume does contain
Repurposed ramen container.
It still would be significantly less nauseating than the possibility that he's drinking a 40 of squirts. That's just me speaking personally, as well as correctly and objectively overweight. Because there was even more.
Oh, I'm waiting for him to finish.
Autopsies is performed through his private autopsy businesses, which often.
Y'all, I started to stare off for a minute. I was letting the video play because I've seen it a million times. I already said what I needed to say, and I was halfway listening. I told you I have ADD. If you look at the banner for my channel is titled Living with Asperger's and ADD. Talk with Sharifa, Living with Asperger's and ADD. That's my banner on YouTube, right? I literally have ADD, like to the full extent. I was diagnosed in childhood. That's how bad it is. It's just that with this program, anytime I stare off, they're making noise. So it's almost like they're serving as like a therapy to my ADD. They used to call me Space Cadet in high school because I used to stare off and daydream so much, y'all. I don't do that half as much as I used to anymore, because anytime I stare off, they're making noises and bringing me back from my reverie, right? So they brought me back, and I was just, I kind of start going off, but I have
From my reverie.
this ability because I've had ADD my whole life, where even if I'm daydreaming and I'm staring off, I'm still listening to what's going on. I can't really explain it to you. I'm good at multitasking in that way, where I can start daydreaming, because I was really just thinking about some of the things I had just said and the tactics they used, but I was still listening to the video. But they're watching me so hard, the gang stalkers, y'all. You know, somebody started revving off as soon as I started to daydream. This is how hard they're watching you, so understand how effective this program is. If they're using this technology on you all day, sending you a bunch of false bullshit and mockery, and they're staring at you, all these people, do you understand how that could be freaking tormenting? It's psychological warfare. And God forbid you don't learn about this stuff and you start to believe what they're sending to you. And you start to let this really become your reality. Or even worse yet, what I said, where even if you don't believe it like me, if everybody is acting like a certain thing is the case, like what's being said is true, then that becomes your reality whether it's true or not. You understand what I mean? It's crazy.
Everything they said, I have in my home. I got a Burger King cup instead of a soda container. Like they exaggerate. I told you they exaggerate everything, right? So it says this 40 ounce of soda, right? He's ad-libbing, right? And this is what it was. I watched Game of Thrones. Then I was sitting here looking into my phone, and then I decided, I'm finished with my phone. Let me see what's on TV. That's exactly how it happened. Believe me, check the schedule. What came on after Game of Thrones, and you'll see it. So I unmute the TV, and this is exactly the segment that it was on.
And y'all, there's no way they were able to find a segment with that much stimuli to the point where the guy even had the same name as him, right? The same spelling, and had all the stuff he had in his room. So understand, not only can they use their AI shadow networking software to find videos on the web that have the stimuli that they're trying to sensitize you to in it, but they can also change already recorded videos, y'all. I've already shown y'all in prior videos that this is possible. They have some high science technology, y'all. I mean, understand this is nothing compared to the microchipping, compared to the capabilities they have with the human body and any body, really, if they microchip you. Understand this is nothing compared to that technology. We are in a different time, y'all. We're in a very high science, advanced time. And if you're targeted and you have all these people against you and they have all this manpower that they can use on you, it doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how well you can articulate what's happening. Yes, it helps to a certain degree. That's why they get annoyed and they try to strike down my videos, because it makes their tactics less effective. But nonetheless, the program is still in full effect and you are still suffering unless you find your way out of this program. Or at least cut the signal to the cameras off. That's what I'm working on, y'all.
Told you my name is Sean, right? And everything that he says in the room, from the refrigerator to the soda cup, even to the spray bottle of...
You see what he said? He said, and I wear glasses, but I'm not fat. You see that? He's not fat, but they like to tease him and use the fat stimuli on him, like how they use the stealing stimuli on me, although I've never stolen in my life. They're using the fat stimuli on him because they paint false narratives and they social engineer and try to get you and others to believe lies about yourself. Even things that are obviously not true. You know if you're fat or not. You know if you stink or not. They try to get you to believe lies about yourself, and they social engineer these false narratives. This is what they do all day long with their technology to malign you psychologically.
I keep cleaners. I got spray cleaners, 409, right? And the Lysol. And I got other cleaners too.
But guess what? You see how I said when you talk about things, it becomes less effective? Because now that I bust these tactics down, not only am I helping y'all because y'all are hearing about it and it validates your experience and you realize, okay, so I'm not the only one. This is something they do to all of us. But then also, too, the gang stalkers are listening, right? And you're knocking down what they're doing, so they're not going to do it. Or if they do it, they know it's not effective anymore. It doesn't work as well when you knock it down in these videos. That's why I said this is one of the best countermeasures to the tactics used in this program, and they know that too, the people that control this technology. That's why whenever I make these videos and I'm able to articulate and bust certain things down, all of a sudden my video isn't playing. They're striking it down for bogus reasons, like telling me I was talking about vaccines when I didn't mention a vaccine not once. Like they're that obvious about trying to stop me from knocking down their tactics, y'all. They don't even care about the fact that it's blatantly obvious that you know I didn't talk about a vaccine. They don't even care. They'll do anything possible to stop me from making these videos because it's the best countermeasure to the tactics used.
So, there you go. I mean, I'm telling you, they stalk me through the TV. Just because you think it can't be done doesn't mean it, you know what I mean? Because you don't know that they had the technology to do it doesn't mean it can't be done. And they likened his room to a morgue, right? Because I told you it's a slow kill program and they want you to die.
Produce any sort of report.
And y'all, that's kind of morbid to say this whole want you to die thing. I mean, I think it just depends on your targeting. I've already told y'all what they started doing to me, how there's some of them do noise campaigns to the kill thing or suicide. I told y'all in my last, it wasn't my last video, I think it was the video before that. what the garbage truck did to me, right? And I had this adverse reaction to it. Some of them are malicious enough that they do wish death on you. Some of them are that malicious, and that's a spirit on them. But really and truly, it really just depends on your targeting. It depends on your threat level too. The main people that are in charge of this, that have you marked as terrorists, I do think that they're either trying to get you A, locked up, B, crazy, right? So you end up in a mental asylum, or C, what he just said, the scary thing, right? And so it really just depends again on what the goal of your targeting is and what your threat level is and how you react to what they're doing. So it is scary. It gets gnarly, y'all. This is why I said I'm concerned for him, because I think he was actually being poisoned.
Now, mind you guys, he said, or join them. So this is, it's not just me, y'all. It's this weird thing they do. He had another video where he was talking about it, right? Where he was talking about the fact that they always act like there's a choice, but there's no choice. He said they're always sending you stimuli about there being some sort of choice, but there's no choice. And he said they're always telling you that there's something you need to do, but there's nothing you can do. They're literally just harassing you mentally, messing with you psychologically. And he said they want you to die or join them. What does join them mean? If it's a case like me, I told you I would start my targeting, and you said an apology for bearing false witness. It's already an overdue and punishment anyways. Why are you even doing this? Why are you taking it this far? Then you start to wonder, well, what the hell is it? What do you really need from me? And you realize there is nothing that you have done to deserve this, because it will make you feel like you did do something to deserve something this bad. You realize, wait a minute, what the hell is this really? And they keep posting this and like there's a choice. That's what they're doing to me, but they're spinning it with a false narrative, right? The false narrative about me selling out. That's what they spin it to with me. In his targeting, that's not a narrative in his targeting. So they're just making it like he has a choice and he needs to do this or do that. It's like this kind of way where like they're trying to make it like he's too outspoken. Similar to me. With me, it's like this kind of thing where it's not just the outspoken thing, because they do keep throwing hints at me about my videos, right? Like I'm talking too much in these videos. But they're also putting a spin on it in my targeting. This is something they do specific to me, where they're making it like I have this choice, like I need to choose. I'm like, what choice? What the fuck are you talking about? I don't even know you, right? And before I left Island, there was no choice, and this wasn't happening to me. I was being targeted, but there was none of this technology being used.
More importantly, y'all, more pertinent, right? When I was in Florida and they actually did start using this on me because of the offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda that I was sharing, they were not posting anything about a choice. They weren't talking about selling out. None of the stuff that they tried to create now because they felt like they could. All they were sending to me in Florida was things about being a predator, lust, angels watching. That is all they were sending to me, y'all. When I got home, and they felt like they could use what happened here on Island. And if you listen to my story, you'll hear some of the things that happened that made them start to create this false lie-ass narrative. That was when they started to simulate, and their little computer brain started ticking, and they started creating this weird-ass narrative. Why weren't they throwing that simulate to me in Florida if that were the case? Why weren't they sending me the things about choice and selling out and that type of stuff in Florida? Why was the only thing they sending to me in Florida with their AI shadow networking software about being a predator, right? Things in the dark coming to light, angels watching, lust, drunkenness. These are the things they were constantly sending me in every video that I put on. Nothing else, y'all. That was the only narrative they had at the moment, and that's what they were trying to use to pin me. Now they have other stuff that they're trying to create, and that's what they're doing now. This is a very effective program, and they will stop at nothing to smear your name once they list you as target. Understand that.
Where they're talking about a choice, right? And so when I'm here now, they're trying to paint this false narrative so bad, y'all. Like I sold out and this and that. It doesn't even add up. I buffed it down so many times. In my agenda video, if you check out my agenda video, I talked about what selling out really looks like with Diddy and Young Miami. And when I broke the thing down so well in that video, do you know that was the first video where they lied and said I was talking about vaccines, and they struck the video down? Because I was able to knock down that lie-ass narrative. I was even talking about the fact that if this were the case, why wasn't I getting this type of shadow networking before I left Island? Why were they not sending this stuff to me before I left Island? Why did this happen right after I sat in Florida in my car and I said the stuff I said about America and the eagle and Caucasian people and people of different races and whatever other offensive stuff I shared.
Christians.
Hebrew Israelite propaganda, and they really marked me as terrorist. Why all of a sudden now it's all this stuff where you're painting this false narrative about me selling out and there's a choice and this and that. Not only that, then they're also cycling the other narrative about the child thing, right? Then it's like, you need to apologize or confess. You know, it's one or the other. They're cycling all these different things, and it's whatever will stick. Whatever they feel like they can get to stick to keep maligning me because they know I didn't commit a crime, but they want me marked as terrorist because I shared offensive stuff in my car. That's really what it is, y'all. They know I didn't commit not one crime, but because I shared offensive stuff in my car in Florida, they marked me into the little program, and so they want to keep me there, and so they're cycling these false narratives with their social engineering in hopes that one will stick. And I keep knocking it down with my videos, and it's pissing them off. And so they keep trying to strike my videos down. But this is something they constantly do, where they're sending you this weird, creepy stuff, and there's no choice, there's no anything you can do once you're in this program but to get out. You have to figure out the law, right? This is how you get out of it. You have to learn the law, and you have to fight them. You have to take it to the embassy, and you have to fight them. There was a guy that did it. They had him in the program for 15 years. He wasn't even like me. My case where I sent a text message that was taken way out of proportion. I tried to leave. The shit followed me illegally. I had some reactions to the covert harassment. The reactions were egregious enough for them to get pissed off and watch list me. And now I'm in this weird spot. This guy here, it wasn't even like that. It was racially charged. They literally targeted him because his last name was the last name of somebody that was in a terrorist group. That's why they targeted him, and the man was targeted for 15 years. And then he found a lawyer right after 15 years that was able to represent him. They took it to the Supreme Court, and Judge Anthony Trenga ruled the program is unconstitutional because there's no due process. And not only was he taken out of the program, but he was compensated for the years that he lost to this evil program. So that's what you have to do. You have to learn the law, and you have to fight it head on. That's how you, unless you can cut the signal off and somehow slip away to a different continent. But, you know, that's so complicated. That's possible, too. There are different ways, y'all. But you have to do some real stuff, some real hard work to get out of this shit. There are different ways. But they like to paint it like it's this thing, like confess, or you have a choice, or, you know, this lie, fake shit, bullshit stuff that they like to paint. And it's nothing like that. They have you marked as terrorist.
Another one that's my favorite, y'all. Say sorry. Change. You have to change. You have to say sorry. You know, even though I've changed, I've taken accountability, or take accountability when I've done all of that in my videos. These are all of the things they're constantly throwing at me. And I'm like, I've done that. So what do you really want from me?
For whatever reason, wherever they threw you there, and they're using their technology to malign you. That's what it is.
Facing pending criminal charges in Kansas of theft and desecration of bodies, and all of this.
Kansas is a fictional place in the Wizard of Oz that Dorothy goes to. It's where
Has
MK Ultra
clearly
slaves
given
go.
a bad name in the business.
Well, this is one of his conspiracy theories, y'all. He was talking about it's not totally a conspiracy theory. This is MK Ultra. I told y'all they're programming your brain. Like how they're constantly sending me stimuli and programming my brain. Remember I told you stuff starts popping in my head now, and it's not even my fault? And I was telling you they like to gaslight me about it. And I was telling you it's similar to seeing an ad, like when you're watching a movie in a movie theater, for instance, and they pop a Coca-Cola ad on the screen. And the next thing you know, the word Coke pops in your head, or the thought Coke pops in your head, and you don't even know why, and you don't realize you just got programmed. That's similar to what they're doing with this AI shadow software, right? So not only are they trying to get you to believe lies about yourself and paint lies about you, and also just make you have a low self-esteem, but they're programming your brain to whatever stimuli it is that they're trying to sensitize you to, especially if they want you to be guilty, especially if they mark you as terrorists. So for me, it's constantly cycling, like I said, the different false narratives. There are many. They're using many on me. In my case, I told y'all bearing false witness has played a contentious role in my targeting, but they've taken it too far. The punishment isn't fitting the crime anymore. They have taken it way too far. And at this point now, they're just trying to do whatever it is to malign me, right? And they're constantly sending shit to me all day long. All these false, different lie-ass narratives, so many of them, y'all. That shit sometimes pops in my head. And they would gaslight me and make it seem like it's me when they know that they're programming my brain. And if you're stuffing something in somebody's head all day long, of course it's going to pop in their head eventually. That's normal. It's called programming. It's literally MK Ultra programming with this program, y'all. It's a trauma-based program. If you look into MK Ultra program, and I learned this last year, I try to be careful with the stuff I learned, y'all, because I realize what they do. They simulate and they create stuff and create lies. They saw when I learned this. I learned this last year that the MK Ultra programming thing has been around for decades. And it's a trauma-based program. Back in the day, what they used to do was more physical. Now it's more psychological. Back in the day, they would have people in the lab and they're stuffing them with LSD and different drugs, right? While they're doing this weird MK Ultra programming on them, and they were actually programming their brain. Now, they don't have to stuff you with any drugs. They can inject you with nanobots. They can microchip you, and they can do all these covert tactic harassments to cause trauma, and eventually your brain is going to split from all the trauma, 24/7, back-to-back trauma, you not getting a break, all this trauma happening. It doesn't matter how strong you are. I mean, I'm strong. It's not working for me, and I think it's pissing them off, and I think that was the case with him, too. This is why I'm like, where is he now? I hope he's okay. But eventually what they want is you to split off. They want your brain to split. They want you to go crazy. And then the programming works. And whatever it is they're trying to create you into is what they create you into, if you fall into that. But that's what MK...
And by them, y'all, I mean, again, the people that run this program, not the front men. I'm not talking about the gang stalkers that are at the surface level. I'm talking about the people in the fusion centers who created this program, who run Homeland Security, who have listed you as target.
Ultra is all about them programming your brain and using trauma to do it. It's called MK Ultra. Y'all can look it up. I even saw this other target. I wish I could find her. And she was in Florida. I found her last year, and I've been looking for her page. I can't find her. She went nuts, y'all. She was in the Army. I don't know what it was. She said she pissed off. I think she said a sergeant or someone that was in the Army with her in Florida. She pissed him off, and they threw her in this program. She was from New York, but she was in Florida on base, right? Threw her in the program, and she didn't really have much family like that. She said she didn't have much family like that. They love people like that don't have much family to advocate for them. Those targets get it the worst, because there's nobody really to stop what's going on, or that even cares enough to. They were doing all kinds of stuff to this girl. She was talking about the technology they were using on her. I'm not going to say some of the stuff she was saying they were doing to her. They were doing a lot to her with the technology, including, I don't even want to mention that thing because that freaks me out. I'm like so grateful that they haven't used that on me, and I think it's literally just because I think they realized that would be an overdue, and all these people are looking. I don't want to say, one of the tactics they use that hasn't been used on me, they were using that on her like crazy. One of those things that emulates schizophrenia. They were using that on her like crazy, and the girl was splitting off. I could tell she was crazy. I looked at her first videos compared to her more recent videos, and she had stopped posting, y'all. When I saw her video, she hadn't posted in years. It had been like 4 years since she posted. So I'm assuming she's either, God forbid, or in some sort of mental institution somewhere. In somebody's mental institution somewhere. She looked nuts, y'all. Straight up nuts. She was in the bush in her most recent video, looking like she was homeless at that point, picking fruits that didn't even look edible from a tree in Florida, talking about these motherfuckers that are, like sounding like a real crazy person. These motherfuckers, because eventually you're going to keep flipping off. You know how you hear me ranting sometimes, and then I try to slow myself down and articulate, because I start to realize you're starting to sound like a crazy person, Sharifa, and this is what they want. Slow down, articulate, and counteract their tactics. But if you get mad enough, right? And I mean mad, I'm using the homophone. Because if you get mad enough and angry enough, and you're always angry, and all this crazy shit is happening and you can't prove it, then you will go mad, crazy, right? Mad turns into mad. Anger turns into crazy. That's what happens, and it's a slow build, and you don't even realize it's happening to you. So you have to be cognizant of what's happening and document everything. It's so important. But that's what was happening with her. She was trying to document, but it was just too much. They were doing too much to her. It was too many of them against her. I know what it's like in Florida. I experienced it. It's horrible in Florida. It's very easy for someone to go crazy with this program in Florida. I told you what happened to me. That's what led to me sharing the offensive shit I did in my car. They're ruthless in Florida. And so they were doing that to her, that ruthless activity. She didn't have any support. And they were using all kinds of technology on her, and the girl went batshit crazy. The last video I saw of her, she was looking nuts. She was in the bush picking fruits that didn't even look edible out the tree. And she was talking about these motherfuckers. I'm the shit. And these motherfuckers, whatever she was saying, and that's why I said they create you into being a narcissist. Remember I told y'all check out my narcissism video? Because constantly, if somebody's constantly tearing you down, right, and coming for you, you're going to feel like they're a hater. So you're going to start to act this flinty way, like, I know I'm the shit. You know, that's how you're going to start to act. That's a natural human response. But then also another human response would be to focus on yourself and constantly try to improve because they're coming for you in that way. And so it's going to look like you're obsessed with self-image and obsessed with self, when that's a response to them constantly coming for you in that way. And then you're going to start to act like this kind of pig-headed, I'm the shit type of person, because it feels like hating them coming for you in that way. And so it's creating you into being a narcissist, and then they'll gaslight and throw the moniker narcissist on you. This is what they do. And so that's what she was doing there in the bush, looking like she was going crazy, like she wasn't able to get it together, you know, because she didn't have a job, which is what happens to a lot of targets. You know, a lot of us end up unemployed. I told you I was unemployed all of last year. Thank the Most High I was able to get a job. But she was unemployed, you know, homeless, you know, dealing with gang stalking and technology and whatever else was going on. And she just was not looking right, y'all. So I could only imagine. You know, it's been like 4 years since she's posted. You know, she's probably, you know, y'all forbid, I hope she's still, you know, alive at least. Which, you know, likely in Baker Act. You know, she was talking about that in her earlier videos. Before she started looking real crazy, in her earlier videos, she was talking about being Baker Act. And this was a beautiful girl, y'all. Dreadlocks and everything. And they fucked this girl up. She looked so crazy and bad in that last video, y'all. Wickedness with this program, y'all. But anyway, so that's what happened. That's what's going on. So let me finish playing this video for y'all. If this is getting too long, let me finish playing this for y'all.
Plus, rather than stopping what he was doing,
Yeah, go stop. That's when you see the car.
You hear? Same thing, like the same thing they throw at me, they throw it at him. They said rather than stopping what he was doing, because they're trying to stop him from making the videos. Because remember, I told y'all these videos are the best, especially if you're breaking down the tactics to look at what he does and like what I do. It's the best countermeasure to the tactics because they no longer work. If you show, hey, I know what you're doing, and you can clearly articulate and break down the tactic they're using and how it's effective, it's not effective anymore. And they don't like that. So they're constantly sending you these messages about stopping and stop the videos when it's gaslighting because you're making the videos because of what's happening to you. And they know that if they stop what they're doing, you wouldn't be making these videos. So it's crazy and it's gaslighting. And so just like with me, with him, they were constantly sending him the stop thing.
Over police stopping things, that's the same thing they want you to stop.
Sean Parcells simply stopped being Sean Parcells and instead started working under the name Professor Lin. And when that reporter asked him why, his answer wasn't great.
Now, mind you, they're shadow networking me now. That's what's creepy. They are shadow networking me through his shadow network video. Do you all understand that? Remember I told you they like to use the word great on me a lot? That's another word specific to my targeting that they like to use on me, and it stems back to the cyber stalking, cyberbullying situation with that dude. That great, it wasn't great, is for me. So understand that via his video where he's showing you them mocking him through the TV, that's how high science their technology is. They are shadow networking me. Do y'all understand that? It's crazy, isn't it?
Now, understand this is just not word of mouth, y'all. This technology truly exists. Check out the links in my description box and in the comment section. Click on my evidence of mind control technology. That's a good place to start. And then also check out my pertinent information about the targeted individual program video. In the pertinent information video, I talk about the AI shadow networking software, and I share the clip from Michael Barden that taught me about it. And then in my evidence of mind control technology video, I share information about the technology utilized on targets, and I share important sources that validate the existence of the technology, including patents. There are government patents for the technology. So know that this is real, y'all. You're not crazy. And there's a plethora of information out there that can validate your experience. And you can find some of it, a good bit of it, right here on my channel, if you check out the links in my description box in my comment section.
Okay, so I'm going to stop there, y'all. This is where he's now just breaking down the MK Ultra programming and how they use trauma to get you to dissociate, to get your brain to split off and get you to go mad. It's a trauma-based program. And so he really used to break it down in these videos, y'all. This is why I believe the man, you know, I haven't seen a video in 3 years. I'm hoping that he was wise enough to figure out a way to get out the program, and that's why I'm not seeing a video. And it's not that they did, you know, stuff to him. Because remember, I told you, in his targeting, it was getting real gnarly.
Y'all, it was gnarly. He was talking about getting poisoned. He showed several car accidents on his channel. He was documenting car accidents that were happening to him. 3 car accidents where they had intentionally hit him. And that happened to me in Florida, by the way, guys, when I still had my car from Carvana before it got repoed. This is why my credit is bad now, because of that car that got taken, due to my unemployment, because of my targeting and the incessant harassment. But anyways, they hit me in Florida. They start getting real close to you in the mainland, in the US. That's why I told you they're ruthless. They come next to you. They're very bold. They throw stuff on your vehicle. They will hit you because they know they are backed by, I don't want to say too much. They know they're protected and that they can do things to you. As a target, it's like you have no rights. And so they know that they can drive right up to you and hit you and not get any repercussion for it. I remember I was speaking to, and again, I reiterate because, I like to run with false narratives. I do not have a problem with law enforcement. I've said this in several of my videos. I even tried to join law enforcement in the past. I'm just telling you how it works when you're targeted, especially in the mainland. When I called the police and I reported the accident, the officer was telling me, oh, it doesn't look like much damage. How about you just don't report it? While she's glaring at me, she was familiar with me and that I was a target. So understand how it works. The gang stalkers know, especially in the mainland, like I said, where they're more reckless, that they can do just about anything to you and not get in trouble for it. It's that crazy. That's how the program works. And they were hitting him. Excuse me, I need to blow my nose. Sorry about that, yeah. I really need to blow my nose. Anyway, they were hitting him. And so he was even talking about the fact that, well, it seems like they have like fake cars that they give the gang stalkers, that they know that, and they know that there's, like they're backed with funds or whatever it is to support, these accidents, because obviously they would have to pay for it if they're at fault, but they know realistically they're not going to get in trouble. They're hired on to do what they're doing. And they were hitting him. 3 times they hit him. There was one time where he was recording, he was walking in the road, and somebody drove so close they almost hit him on foot while he was on foot. But then in his vehicle, he recorded 3 car accidents that happened where they were at fault. They were literally hitting him. That's how bad it was getting in his targeting. In addition to the fact that he was talking about energy weapon attacks, he was talking about feeling the warming sensation, the same thing I told you I felt at the beginning of last year when I suspect I was being hit and I lost all that weight and whatever was happening to me. That was happening to him. And then not only that, apparently he said it seems like poisoning his food. So it was really bad he had it bad. He had it real bad. And so the fact that he hasn't posted in 3 years has me really concerned. Also, I could tell that he was very strong-minded. I know because I am the same way. And so when you're strong-minded like that, you're not letting the tactics at least psychologically get to you. And you're breaking down certain things and you're able to articulate what's going on in these videos so the tactics are less effective. That's where things could turn up on you, especially physically. And so that's what was happening to him, especially in the mainland. Like I told you, my targeting has gotten a lot better. Here on island, it's still bad. I'm still being surveilled 24/7. They're still doing rough campaign. They're still hacking my stuff. I still have no privacy. I'm still miserable. But again, it's not like how it is in the mainland. I can't reiterate that enough. It gets really gnarly there, y'all. Real gnarly. So him not having posted in 3 years has me concerned.
Poisoning him, they were hitting him with radiation, all kinds of stuff. So I don't know what's happening with him at this moment. I can only pray for that man. Pray for the Most High's covering over him. Anyways, y'all, that's it. I just wanted to show y'all how they shadow network and the tactics that they use. I want to show y'all another example of shadow networking. And I want to apologize for venting at the beginning of the video. Y'all, I'm just irritated. Like I said, I'm dealing with this thing 24/7. But at the same time, I always have to pull it together and be like, calm down, Sharifa. Don't get that reactive, because that's how it's designed. And that's when it's working, when you're getting that worked up and that angry, that wrathful feeling that you feel from what's being done to you is exactly how the program is designed. So instead of feeling wrath, you need to document and you need to bust down the tactics in these videos, and they're less effective. Anyways, I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace out.
Y'all, I took another clip. Let me see how long this video is. Dang, hour 52. I don't like these long ass videos, y'all. I took another clip showing y'all the shadow networking that happened right as I had made that first clip when I was still at work. Another thing that they sent me that I made a separate clip about. I'm going to record here now. I almost want to just stop the video so it could be under 2 hours. But I want y'all to see, again, the shadow networking because it was so blatant in this other video. Let me show y'all.
Y'all, another example of shadow networking. I just said I would add this to the end of the last clip. I just want to show you all the stimuli in this video. I'm not going to stay here too long because I don't want the video to be too long. And I cut it off at 1 hour and 33 minutes last time. So however long this clip is what's going to be the add-on. And that's going to equal to the total length of the video. Don't want it to be too long. So let me hurry up and share this with y'all. So I also like to watch nature videos, y'all, and they know that. So remember I told you with the AI shadow soft working network, they like to send you videos in your newsfeed on YouTube, for instance, in the recommended, but videos that match, what you like to watch. So it is an algorithm. It is a true algorithm, but also they'll use their shadow networking software to insert stimuli into those videos. So it's either that they're sending you videos that resemble what you like to watch and inserting stimuli in it with their technology, or they're using a generator to find videos that already have the stimuli in it. Look at this one.
And this bobcat may be in luck, for this particular valley is blessed.
Okay, guys, that's shadow networking for me, because when I was in my car in Florida, remember I told y'all I shared a lot of offensive content. Not only did I share stuff about America, I shared stuff about the eagle. I shared stuff about people of different races, Hebrew Israelite propaganda. And for those of y'all that aren't familiar, that's just an ideology. There are different belief systems, different religions out there. The Hebrew Israelite, it's not really called a religion or understanding, whatever it is. There are different variations of it, just like in Christianity. You have different denominations. The same thing applies with the Hebrew Israelite ideology. I shared in my car the most offensive Hebrew Israelite ideology I could find, right? Because initially I was watching Bible videos for myself. I felt like something spiritual was going on. I thought somebody had done witchcraft on me. I don't even want to use that word because that's something else that they tried to create, a false narrative that they'd like to throw at me, in addition to many other things. But I genuinely thought somebody had done something to me. And I felt like that's why things had blown up so big from a text message. I just couldn't fathom it. And as I told you, I had already had similar experiences throughout the years, from since my early 20s, with things just blowing up really big from simple things and creating this long-standing, like overdue and punishment for me. This is not the first occurrence. This is just the worst one. And so I was like, this is something that was done to me, man. This is what I thought in my head. So I was sitting in my car in Florida listening to biblical videos for me. And I am Hebrew. Well, now I don't even call myself Hebrew, y'all. Right now I believe in the Bible. I believe everyone has grace. This thing has changed me completely. I don't even want to associate with that. I believe in the Bible. I believe everyone has grace. That's me now. But then I was Hebrew. That's how I was raised. That's the household I grew up in. I'm just keeping it real with you. And so for me, turning to God looked like me looking up Hebrew Israelite videos. That's what that looked like for me. I was purposely not putting on offensive Hebrew Israelite videos because I'm aware of the fact that some are out there. When they were doing what they were doing, as soon as I would put on the biblical videos, throwing stuff on my roof, zooming by, getting worked up, and then two, they were using the shadow networking software on me, and I wasn't familiar with the fact that they had that technology. They kept sending me things with stimuli in it pertaining to the false narrative that was created from me sending the text message. And so they would zoom by every time these videos would come up with things about predators or things in the dark coming to light or lust, things like that. Constantly in every biblical video I put up, I was like, what is going on? I was like, this is something spiritual. I know I didn't do anything, but every video I'm putting on is talking about this stuff. And they're just zooming up. The gang stalkers were having a field day with my ass every time those things would come on. And so I got livid and I got pissed.
And understand, y'all, that's all they were sending. That's the only false narrative they were sending when I was in Florida. So that's to tell you. They just send whatever works in the moment to smear and malign you.
And I started to engage the gang stalkers. And I started to play offensive Hebrew Israelite videos on purpose. So I was no longer watching the videos for me. and I was watching it for them, to malign them because of what they were doing to me. And so I shared a lot of offensive stuff, y'all. I believe this is what led to my threat level either going up or me truly being watch listed on the terrorist watch list, whichever one it is. So part of the offensive content that I shared was some offensive stuff about Christians. And so now they like to, part of my sensitization is stimuli me to the word God, sensitize me to the word God, sensitize me to the word blessing, sensitize me to the word church, sensitize me to the word Christian, all of those things. And it literally causes a reaction for me. They have literally sensitized me successfully to God. And when it comes and I get awkward, I know they're staring at me, I know they feel however they feel about me. I know I share that offensive stuff in my car in Florida, and I get awkward when they throw this at me. It's not as bad as it was before, nowhere near as bad as it was before. But I do still have moments where I get awkward to that stimuli. So that's one thing. That's the first thing him talking about. And I'm going to tell you how it ties in with the other stuff that he shares in the video. Or I'm saying he, because you can hear that the commentary of the narrator the commentary is being done by a man. So the narrator is a man, right? So that's why I'm saying he. But it's not him. Really, who's sharing it is the shadow networker, the AI shadow network people, whoever's in control of it, in the fusion centers in the mainland, right? So that's the first thing. They talk about the place is blessed, right? So now look at what it segues into.
The river here never freezes. It's fed by a volcanic hot spring that heats these waters to 50 degrees warmer than.
So he heard he said the river here never freezes. It's whatever he said about a volcanic hot spring that heats, right? That's another thing they like to sensitize me is heat, fire, burning, insinuating that I'm going to hell or I'm going to burn because of the offensive things that I've said or whatever it is that they're trying to paint, whatever false narrative it is at the moment, because there are many, like I said, that they're trying to.
And I rebuke that in the name of Yahshua, in the name of the Most High, in the name of God. I rebuke that.
So they like to sensitize me to the word fire, heat, burning, etc. And so that followed them talking about the place being blessed. So let's continue.
The surrounding air. Hungry animals of all kinds come here to feed. Throughout the winter, the river is full of food for those who know how to catch it.
Y'all heard that in the next step. Throughout the winter, the river is full of food for those who know how to catch it. That's another thing they like to sensitize me to is being caught. Like they're catching me, right? Like they caught me doing something, or they caught me in some sort of something, or just the fact that I'm a target and they've caught me, the way that they have me trapped up in this program, right? They like to sensitize me to the word caught. Next. It gets more blatant, y'all, because all of this is still subjective, right? I'm going based off of what I've experienced. And so to you, this sounds like my biased opinion. It sounds subjective, but it's going to be very blatant and objective in a moment.
Here, even the coyotes have become fishermen. But hunting is hard for a cat that's not used to getting its feet wet. So he must choose his target with care.
Y'all heard that? That's as blatant as it can be. There's no subjectivity there. That's as obvious as it can be. So he must choose his target with care. Again, they're talking about hunting. You know what happens when you're targeted? You're constantly chased, stalked, harassed, right? Hunted down, right? So he must choose his target with care. Again, using the choice word. Remember what I told y'all earlier, but this time instead of them throwing it at me, they're saying that they're choosing. So they chose me for whatever reason. They have to choose their target with care. That sounds so freaking malignant. It sounds so freaking ominous. They have to choose their target with care. It doesn't get much more obvious than that.
ducks. But can he get close enough to pounce?
Now, typically, y'all, this would have been a very relaxing video to me. I love watching nature videos. This is why it's so effective. They send you videos you genuinely watch, but it's ladled with stimuli and sensitization, so you can't even sit and relax and watch it because you're too busy getting programmed and sitting on the edge of your seat like, damn, the subliminal message, and then you know you're being stared at too, so you're feeling awkward about it. You know, it's like, it's really very advanced psychological warfare, y'all.
Perhaps he'll have more luck on the other side.
Y'all, I don't need to finish a video. Eventually he's going to catch something in the tree and pull it down out the tree, but there's no more sensitization. The sensitization at this point is done. But that last sensitization that they use, that last piece of stimuli, he has to choose his target wisely. It does not get any more obvious than that. So y'all see what I'm talking about. Here's another example. Anyway, talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out.
All right, y'all, that's the video. I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out. Sorry, y'all, my phone screen is cracked. I'm trying to hit stop and it's